I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Wea, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience learning more about our indigenous culture. So who means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my uhuru, which is freedom. I'm out.
Hey guys, I apologize. There was an echo. I apologize. I should have muted this mic right here. But guys, can you hear me? Can you hear me on this mic? Before we get started, I got a new mic, a different one. I'm testing mics out. So if you guys can hear me, go ahead and press 1. Go ahead and press 1 if you can hear me. Again, do me a favor, press 1 if you can hear me. Yes, okay, good. And guys, sorry about the echo. Do you guys want to watch the trailer again? Do you guys want to watch the trailer? You guys want to watch the trailer again without the echo this time? You guys want to watch the trailer without the echo this time? No, I got 2 mics, so I'm like testing mics out. So how about this one? About this mic, and then I got like this Yeti. It's called a snowball. Like this, it's cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, run it back. Okay, I'll run it back. Hold on. So I'll run the trailer back. This time, well, both mics ain't on at the same time, you guys. But I'll run the trailer back. Varice, are you in Varice? Are you the sister in Delaware? Varice, are you the sister in Delaware? I've been trying to reach out to you. You don't be answering my calls, Varice, if that's you. Like somewhere, Delaware or Rhode Island somewhere. Is that you, Varice Weeks? You be ignoring me. Okay, we'll go ahead and run the trailer back again. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that, guys.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Wea, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So uhuru means freedom in Swahili, I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out. Hey, oh, okay. So there's some confusion. Junior, no, guys. So okay, let me walk you guys through this. I apologize. Let me walk you through this real quick. So the actual documentary is streamed online, so there's no physical copy. So what you do? Hold on one second. You go to searchforuhuru.com or documentary.searchforuhuru.com, right? So again, you go to searchforuhuru.com or documentary.searchforuhuru.com. Okay? You go there. I'm gonna put the link in the chat room and put it on the screen. Shout out to Aisha Ladon for the support. Thank you, sister. Thank you. So you go here, click the buy button, or go to documentary.searchforuhuru.com. And then when you click on buy the documentary for $10.99, right? You scroll down, you create an email, when you put in all your billing details, your email address, and you set up a password. Then you can pay using cryptocurrency. I take Bitcoin and Ethereum, or credit debit card. Once you do that, you stream the documentary. All right. You're able to stream the documentary from any device. So it's not a physical DVD that I sent. You don't get a physical DVD. That's old school. Do people still buy DVDs and CDs? Yeah, do people still buy DVDs and CDs? Nah, everything is streamed. Netflix streamed. Everything is streamed. So then, once you purchase it and you've created your email address, which is your username, and then your password, any device that you're on, whether it be your phone, laptop, tablet, you click on log in. And then you put your username in, which is your email address, and your password. You log in, and you're able to view the documentary for life. It's yours for life. You're able to view it. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, just the brother that asked, you can't view. He doesn't have a Blu-ray player. Nah, we don't. Nah, we don't send you anything. Yeah, we don't send you anything. Hey, Don, is it possible to buy or rent the documentary through streaming as a secondary option for those of us who no longer use? Yeah, it's never been available on DVD or Blu-ray. It's just streaming like Netflix. Yeah, it's never it's never been the it's old school. Like, I didn't know people still buy DVDs and CDs, so that's why I didn't put, hey, streaming. I just assume people don't buy DVDs or CDs or tapes or anymore. It's just, you just stream it through the site. Yeah, you just stream it through the site. So hopefully that makes sense. So with that being said, listen, I need everybody to go and buy the documentary. Yeah, I need everybody to go and buy the documentary. Again, I need everybody to go and buy the documentary. I don't ask for much. You know, a lot of people were like, yeah, I got you, dog. I got you. I got you, Dynast. I got you, man. I'm going to get you, bro. I'm going to get you, dog. I got you. I got you, man. Yo, go and buy the documentary. Go and buy it. You know, now that I hope that we got that cleared up, that it's not an actual physical DVD or tape that is streamed. I need everybody to go, why you ain't put the documentary on your channel? Listen, I'm trying to do direct to consumer as much as possible. Like direct to consumer, no third parties, no middleman. You know, like, listen, YouTube, all these other platforms, they take too much of a cut. But you know, I might put it on YouTube. You know, like I said, I might put it on YouTube. I don't know yet. Shout out to King Justice, just purchased. Brother, I need your after you watch your King Justice, because I know you don't sugarcoat nothing. Let me know your when you watch your King Justice. Let me know what you think. Again, when you watch it, let me know what you think. But yeah, everything is streamed. But I guess what I'll do, guys, I'll put like a note in here saying that it's buy for $10.99 to stream immediately, or I'll put a note like that on there so people will know that, look, we're not shipping out no DVDs. Nah, you just stream it. You set up your username, set up your password, then you just log in to wherever you're at. Again, you log in wherever you're at, and you're able to view it wherever you're at once you purchase it for the rest of your life. You know, no recurring subscription like with Netflix or YouTube or whatever. No recurring subscription. You pay that $10.99 one time, take it wherever you go. You know, if you're a teacher, professor, you know, you want to show it to your class, no problem. Just pay the $10.99 for it and share it with your class. No problem. If you're an educator, you know, hey, no problem. Buy it for $10.99. You can stream it to your class. But yeah, but guys, do me a favor. I mean, this is a good learning lesson, teaching lesson for me. All right. Press 1 in the chat room. Well, first, hit that like button. Okay, here we go. Philip Lindsay. I copped it. Don't put it on a streaming service yet. Direct to consumer is the path. This topic today is critical. Can't wait for the discussion. Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're an educator, again, if you're an educator, you know, buy it and share it in your classroom. No problem. But like I said, I'm every day, listen, every single day. I've touched on that, Rosa Maffa. I've touched on that. You know, it's okay. Somebody in the chat room said, shout out to Alexis Fowler, everybody in the chat room. Alexis, we got to do a show, Alexis. Hey, everyone, go subscribe to Alexis's page when you get a chance. Again, go subscribe to Alexis's page when you get a chance. But we got somebody. I'm surprised Dynast being from LA. Well, I'm from Sacramento, but I lived in LA. Not touching on the Black versus Mexican conversation going on social media. See, Sacramento was different because we really didn't beef like that in Sacramento, where I'm from. I lived in LA, but we really didn't beef like Blacks and Mexicans and Asians. Like, we really didn't beef like that in Sacramento. I don't know how it is now, but when I was growing up, we really didn't we really didn't beef like that. But in LA, that's different. But I keep telling people, man, as far as Cali goes, it's pretty much a wrap for Black people. I really think, honestly, Black people in America will be better off consolidating like in the DMV area and in the South. Like get out the Midwest, get out the West Coast, get out of New York. DMV in the South is where Black people should move to and migrate to and consolidate power. I think it'll be best to consolidate there for those who, the second president was Mexico was Black. He got assassinated for being Black for the most part. What was his name? Vicente Guerrero. Vicente Guerrero, I think his name was. Is it Vicente Guerrero? Philip? It's Vicente Guerrero. Yeah, Vicente Guerrero. I was right. Yeah, Black man. Second president of Mexico. Second president of Mexico. But guys, do me a favor. Do me a favor real quick. Oh, let me shut down some of these apps. Got a lot going on. But seriously, guys, do me a favor. Press 1. Because I'm trying to figure out how I'll put the message in the actual documentary page. Press 1 if you thought the documentary was going to be shipped to you in the form of a DVD. Press 1 if you thought, because I'll go ahead and add a message to the documentary page that listen, it's not an actual DVD, it's streamed. Somebody said VHS. That is actually streamed. So I'll go ahead and put a message in there saying instead of like stream, instead of buying for $10.99, maybe I'll put stream for $10.99. How's that sound? I need your guys' feedback on that. Instead of buy for $10.99, put stream for $10.99. Or put a note, No, it's going to be digital, period. It's going to be digital. But I just want to make sure people understand that it's not a physical download stream. Okay. Nah, it's not a rent because it's yours. It's not a rent because it's yours. So I can't say rent because you're not renting, it's yours. Put a disclaimer under it. There you go. Disclaimer. Documentary is streamed. Documentary is streamed. Okay. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and jump to the topic. But listen, if you're watching this, if you have not bought if you have not bought the documentary, again, if you have not bought the documentary, I need you to buy the documentary, guys. I need you to go and purchase the documentary. I need you to go purchase it. I don't ask you guys for a lot, but listen, every day that we come live, it's going to be documentary by the documentary, by the documentary, by the documentary. Go and buy the documentary. Shout out to Healthwise. Yeah, just put a note on it, bro. It's really not that serious. Just buy it. I already purchased it and watched it a few times. Buy the documentary. Buy the documentary. Go and buy the documentary. I love y'all. Thank you so much. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. Oh, tours. Listen, we got a couple tours coming up. We rode to Nigeria on Monday. We roll to Nigeria on Monday for the Oshun Festival. Rolling on Monday, cannot wait. We are going to have an awesome time in Nigeria. Again, we're going to have an awesome time in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival. Listen, if you last minute, you want to roll with us? Listen, come and roll. Come and roll. If you want to roll with us, come and roll. We'll love to, I'll make some room for you. If you want to roll, I'll make some room for you. But we are rolling to Nigeria on Monday. Then we are rolling to Sierra Leone November 20th through December 3rd. November 20th through December 3rd. Citizenship is available to those who qualify. In fact, some people who are going on a trip with me who are out of the country, I'm not going to show their actual certificate, but they actually they sent me their certificate. They had it sent to me because they're out of the country, and so they're like, Dynast, we'll email you our certificate of authenticity. So you got to have a certificate of authenticity once you get your DNA certificates through African ancestry. You have to get it authenticated. There we go. Authenticated. And that's part of the paperwork that you have to turn in to get your passports. Actually, my passports are in my bag, my travel bag. I'm starting to pack early, so I ain't packing last minute. So you got to get your DNA results through African ancestry. Again, get your DNA results through African ancestry. Get your DNA results through African ancestry. And then, yes, if you don't have proof of vaccine, again, if you don't have proof of vaccine for Nigeria, yes, you got to get a bunch of tests. Again, if you don't have proof of vaccine for Nigeria, yes, you do got to get a bunch of tests. It just is what it is. But as far as Sierra Leone, citizenship is available to those who qualify. Like I said, you got to have your African ancestry DNA test. You have to have your African ancestry DNA test. My email is hello@donfo.africa. You can email me there. hello@donfo.africa. I'll put it in the chat. But yeah, so if you want to roll to Sierra Leone with us, November 20th to December 3rd, citizenship is available to those who qualify. And again, citizenship is available to those who qualify. Todd Mack, I'm trying to get my brother to do the African ancestry test with me. One of us do. No, you can't. Okay, so here we go. I'm glad that you just brought up a great point, Todd. So you have to be the direct test taker. So Todd, say you take the African ancestry test, right? Say your results come back, we'll say Yoruba of Nigeria, and your brother's results come back Minde or Timne of Sierra Leone. Just because he's your brother, you can't piggyback off those results. Now, your brother will be eligible, but you won't. So you have to be the direct test taker. Again, you have to be the direct test taker. So you can't, I know what you're trying to do. You can't do that. I know you want to save costs, but you got to be the direct test taker. The only people that could piggyback off of you as of right now, but they have to come and get sworn in, are children under the age of 18. Again, our children under the age of 18. So yeah, so that's not going to work, brother. But again, if you're interested in, no, females can only take the maternal. Males could take both. Males could take the maternal and paternal. And women can only take the maternal. And males could take the maternal and paternal. So yeah. I don't have my results with me. They're somewhere around here. But yeah. But the results come in something like this, and they give you a whole breakdown. All right, so if you're interested in joining us in Sierra Leone, citizenship's available to those qualified. Visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. Again, Danfo, DANFO .Africa. Only Sierra Leone is the only country that, for the most part, offers Sierra Leone is the only country at this time that offers citizenship via DNA. For the most part. Again, Sierra Leone is the only country that offers citizenship via DNA for the most part, formally. You know, you've had your boy and Samuel Jackson in Gabon who got his via DNA. I know someone personally, not going to name his name. He got his, I think, like Mozambique or I forgot some country he got it via DNA. What country was it? It wasn't Mozambique. It wasn't Madagascar. Okay, I forgot. But yeah, he got it. But for the most part, African ancestry is the only country that offers DNA. African Sierra Leone is the only country that offers citizenship via DNA, and it has to be through African ancestry. No, it has to be okay, and the results have to come back directly to Sierra Leone. Again, the results have to link back directly to Sierra Leone. For example, Mende are in Liberia. They're in Guinea, Conakry, and they're also in Sierra Leone. If you get Mende in Liberia, that does not qualify you for citizenship in Sierra Leone. So yeah, somebody said, Dynast, can you get a discount code from African ancestry? Probably not, but I'll ask. But probably not. But you know what? I will still I'll still ask. Okay, I'll still ask. But let's jump into today's topic. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And, you know, what we'll do in about 20 minutes, we'll open up the lines. Again, in about 20 minutes, we'll open up the lines in about 20 minutes. But I wanted to share this real quick. So President Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana is saying that reparations are due to African countries for what I guess the role that Europeans played in slavery. This is the problem. Guys, give me 1 second. Here we go. Perfect. Here we go. This is the problem with that. This is the issue. Okay. And guys, let me say this. You guys know I am Africa first. Even with the role that, and it's documented, guys, and me personally, I stopped romanticizing slavery. Like I stopped with the white man came and just bum rushed Africa and just started snatching and stealing Africans and putting them on boats and taking them to the West. that's, I stopped with the with romanticizing slavery. I stopped with the, we wasn't slaves. We were indentured servants. There's no concept of slavery in Africa. We were prisoners of war. We were indentured servants. I just stopped. I stopped, like I said, I stopped romanticizing. All right. At the end of the day, there were buyers and sellers. And unfortunately, many African tribes are willing sellers and Europeans are buyers. Again, one more time. Many Africans were sellers and European willfully. This went on for hundreds of years. And African tribes were sellers, Europeans were buyers. And this went on for hundreds of years, for three centuries. To the point where, not saying that the English or Britain was benevolent, not saying that the French were benevolent, but even after the British and the French banned the slave trade, even after America banned the slave trade, you still had a number of African tribes, case in point in Dahomey, who are like, hell nah, we still getting this slavery thing cracking. It's too profitable. Hey, if there's any buyers out there, we still got Africans for sale. That's just the fact. That's just the fact. I mean, it's unfortunate. Again, even after white folks, and not saying they were benevolent, banned slavery, you still had a lot of African tribes that were like, listen, we still gonna get this slavery thing cracking, and we gonna sell Africans. We're gonna sell our brothers and sisters. That's just that's just what it is. That's just what it is, okay? So this idea, and let me back up. So Pete, somebody brought up yes, I know the Yoruba sold, Madam Tinubu. Of course, Yoruba sold slaves, of course. I mean, there's more Yoruba descendants in Brazil than Nigeria. Slave trade. So people brought up, this idea, which, I mean, to a point is true, but for the most part it's not. That many Africans on the continent were rebelling against the slave trade. That's not really the facts. So Africans on the continent didn't start rebelling against the slave trade, and I'm gonna put that in quotation marks, until Europeans started to encroach on their land. Again, Queen Aziga was involved in the slave trade. And again, you can look it up. Queen Aziga was involved in the slave trade. She was. Again, many Africans didn't start rebelling against the slave trade until Europeans started to encroach on their lands. What do I mean? When Europeans started pointing the guns at the tribes that were participating in the slave trade, that's when they ended encroaching on the land and saying, listen, we more than slaves. We now want to take your guys' resources, and we're going to take it by the gun. Again, thank you for the slaves, but now we want your resources, we want your land. Excuse me, and we're gonna bum rush the coast, and we're gonna take it by force. That's when Africans as a whole started rebelling. Guys, we have to understand the first abolitionists came from the West. Again, the first abolitionists came from the West, not from Africa. That's just the reality. The first abolitionists came from the West, not from Africa. Banning the slave trade was a concept that came from the West, not from Africa. I'm sorry. It's just what it is. To the point where, we talk about Liberia all the time. When the Americo-Liberians, they weren't called that at the time. When the Americo-Liberians returned to Liberia, the indigenous population was still participating in the slave trade. Well, let me pull this up real quick. Let me pull it up real quick. You guys, do me a favor, hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I'm not a big fan of Wikipedia, but we're going to use it. Port Crescent Massacre. The Port Crescent Massacre was a lopsided battle that occurred on June 10th, 1835, in the territory of modern-day Liberia, between former American slaves and descendants of American slaves on the one hand, and the Bassa forces on the other. Background: Port Crescent was a settlement established in West Africa in 1834 at the behest of the Pennsylvania branch of the Abolitionist American Colonialization Society for the purpose of the repatriation of freed slaves. And the descendants of slaves to Africa at the time of the massacre, it was populated by approximately 130 African Americans, as well as one white representative of the Pennsylvania Society, Edward Hankinson. According to R. McDowell, a physician visiting Edina at the time of the attack, local slave traders, here we go. Local slave traders decided they did not want to do business so close to a repatriation settlement and had informed the local Bassa chief, King Joe, who was an African chief, Bassa chief, who took on a European name, that they intended to move their business elsewhere. An exasperated King Joe, who was equipped with arms provided by American and European slavers, pledged to drive the settlers out. Massacre. On June 10th, 1835, Port Crescent was attacked by the forces of King Joe. As the settlers were pacifist Quakers, they lacked arms or any other means with which to defend themselves. Roughly 20 of the Port Crescent settlers were killed outright by King Joe's men, with the remainder managing to flee the bloodshed and escape to the armed settlement of Monrovia, where Hankinson appealed for aid. Meanwhile, King Joe continued on to attack nearby Edina. However, a second indigenous leader, King Bob, intervened to defend the Edina settlement, and Joe was forced to withdraw. On learning of the massacre at Port Crescent, Elijah Johnson, a veteran of the War of 1812, assembled a company of 120 armed volunteers and set out on a punitive expedition to engage King Joe. The Monrovia government routed the opposing forces. A peace accord was signed on November 6, 1835. In it, Joe promised to pay indemnification, stop participating in the slave trade, and submit all territorial disputes to settler courts for adjudication. Hankinson, traumatized by the attack, refused to return to the devastated Port Crescent settlement. The demonstration of the military power of the Monrovia forces against Joe helped cement the central importance of Liberia among the disparate reparation Repatriation, I'm sorry, colonies being established in West Africa. Okay, there we go. So, again, you still had Africans who were participating willfully in the slave trade to the point that when it was banned, they're like, hell no. Nah. We still getting it cracking. So this idea of Africa getting reparations, nah, I don't know how that's gonna work out. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work out. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. But yeah, the idea of Africans actually getting reparations, and many were engaged in it willfully. That ain't gonna happen. But you know how Africa could gain reparations? Like Africa doesn't need to go ask for reparations. I'll give you an example how Africa could gain reparations from Europe. And I used this example before. Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, I think, are number one or number two, or number one and number two when it comes to cocoa. This cocoa gets shipped to Belgium, gets shipped to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and it comes back marked up 1,000% in the form of a Hershey's bar and Godiva chocolate, whatever you want to call it, Switzerland or whatever. How about Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana say, you know what, Mr. Hershey's, Mr. Godiva chocolate, we're going to process and make our own chocolate bars in-house, and then we will sell to everyone else. Again, we're going to process and manufacture, whatever you want to call it, our own chocolate bars in-house. We're going to do it in-house. And we're going to feed the chocolate addiction of the West, of the world. We're just going to do it in-house. It's called vertical integration. So we're going to vertically integrate everything rooted to the tutor, as they say, here in Ghana, here in Cote d'Ivoire. And don't worry about it. We'll send the chocolate out to the world market. That's reparations. That's reparations. Same thing with, here's my cell phone. Here's my Apple cell phone. So was it coltan or cobalt? Coltan is what's used to make this cell phone. And it comes from the Congo. How about the Congo just produce their own cell phones rooted to Tuta? So again, we really shout out to Craig, yo, brother Craig. Hey, what's up, brother Dinah? Just letting you know the documentary was dope. Thank you, man. Thank you. And Craig actually came on a tour with us as well. But Jamar, what led to colonialization was the slave trade. That's what led to it. What led to colonialism was the slave trade. That's what led to it. And like I said, even till this day, I just brought up the example with chocolate. That's your reparations. Do everything in-house, and you'll be fine. And Europe will come begging to these African countries. No, what I'm saying is they don't have to pay. Europe doesn't have to pay Africa anything. All Africa, the example I use with chocolate, is all you need to do. Here we go. Nigeria is number 3 in cocoa and had just started chocolate bar production with exports to Europe to commence later this year. When I was in Cote d'Ivoire last year, and I might grab my other phone so I can show you guys this picture. I bought some of the chocolate. They had some locally produced chocolate bars, and they were selling. My friend who lives in Cote d'Ivoire, John Lou, you guys have seen them on the videos. They have some locally produced chocolate bars in Cote d'Ivoire, in Abidjan, when I was there, and I bought some. The chocolate bars were delicious. The packaging was on point. In fact, hold on, guys. Let me grab my other phone, and I want to charge it up so I can show you guys this chocolate that they were producing in Cote d'Ivoire. Hold on one second. I think it's produced in Cote d'Ivoire. I believe so. Hold on one second. In fact, this will be a commercial break. Give me 1 second. Let me go get my other phone.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out. All right, so I found my other phone. I'm gonna charge it up, and I want to show you this this chocolate that I hope it is. I was told it was that is actually produced in that's produced in Cote d'Ivoire. And guys, go buy the documentary. Documentary is available at searchforuhuru.com. Again, the documentary is available at searchforuhuru.com. Let me get back in focus. Hold on 1 second. Oh, there we go. Documentary is available at searchforuhuru.com. Documentary is available at searchforuhuru.com. So guys, go and grab the documentary. But let me show this to you. I mean, it was dope. Like I said, I bought it. The chocolate was delicious. I got it in Cote d'Ivoire. It says Ghana exports finished chocolate bars to many other countries. Okay. So guys, make sure you go and buy the documentary. Again, go and buy the documentary, and the documentary is streamed. The documentary is actually streamed through the site. I'll make sure I put a note on there. Hold on one second, guys. Let me hold on one second, guys. In fact, we'll open up the lines. If you guys want to call in, link is in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. Click on the link. Link is in the chat room. Again, click on the link. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, just waiting for my phone to charge up. And I know I took a picture of this chocolate bar. Well, I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did, though. No, guys. The documentary is yours. It's yours permanently. You can view it as much as you want. You can stream it as much as you want. You create a login and it's yours. Roosevelt, go ahead.
Hey, what up, Cali?
Is in the chat room. We're calling as a conversation. Yeah, turn off the playback, brother.
Yes, sir.
Now, I know I took a picture.
There we go.
Go ahead, brother. What you got to add?
Man.
You can do it as much as you want. Roosevelt, what you got to add, brother? What you got to add?
Yeah, let me get rid of this sound right quick.
All right, Pan-African capitalist, go ahead.
What's going on, brother? First of all, man, congrats on the documentary, man. Great documentary. I didn't know you were such an adventurous eater over there, man. Shout outs to you.
Oh, did you copy the documentary? Did you copy it? You copied it already?
Yeah, I watched it a few days ago. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that for the support, man. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good, man. It was very informative, very well done. But
appreciate
on the topic at hand, I agree with you 100%, man. I mean, I really think it's a money grab on the part of, the president of Ghana, which I like this president, actually. I think he's done a lot, and he's still doing a lot to try to help African Americans and Africans in the diaspora to get citizenship in Ghana. There's a bill in the House now over there in Ghana that's going to make it a lot easier, where you can actually still be outside of the country and get citizenship. You won't have to necessarily live there for 3 years. But yeah, it's to me, it's a money grab. And the way he kind of worded it was like, Africans should be on the united front. And I agree with that, but I don't agree that people that participated in the enslavement of Africans should be rewarded or compensated, for their participation, right? So all Ghanaians didn't participate in slavery, and slavery is a complex thing because you have stories of Ghanaians, in the 1700s, 1800s that were slave traders themselves, and that wind up getting in slavery, mistakenly, because these Europeans were doing anything. But yeah, they shouldn't. These countries, in fact, I think that these countries should actually pay. In my opinion, I think they should actually pay along with some of these European countries and institutions towards compensations towards descendants of slaves. But that's my take on it. And one last thing, you mentioned earlier. So Ghana is actually, I don't know if you noticed, but the administration in Ghana, the executive administration, they said they were no longer exporting cocoa to Switzerland. last year. And so Ghana and Ivory Coast are actually working together now on a deal to kind of form a block between the two countries on not only farming the cocoa, but processing in their own countries and then exporting the finished product to other countries around the world. So that's something to look out for, is that kind of that economic alliance in the cocoa industry between Ivory Coast and Ghana.
Okay, let me, guys, this is the chocolate right here. Hold on one second. Let me blow my screen up. That's the chocolate in Cote d'Ivoire right there. Like, they got a Cara print package situation. I'm trying to get it to focus. But that's it right there. Here we go. That's it right there. It was pretty good too. And that's the chocolate in Cote d'Ivoire that I bought. And like the packaging is it's like a Cara print, so it's nice. It's real nice. So yeah. And guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, man. I know you guys up in here. So you got two things to do. You got two action items. Hit the like button, buy the documentary. Those are your two action items, everyone. So let me 1 second. Let me bring it. The Moomba speaks. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate being back on the show. So I would have to agree, right? I don't think that if you are an active participant in, of course, this enslavement of African people, that you should then benefit financially and receive reparations, right? But I do think the conversation about reparations is a bit nuanced, right? Even when African Americans, FBA, ADOS advocate for reparations, I always state that it shouldn't be simply for slavery. It should be, according to Michelle Alexander, her seminal text, The New Jim Crow, due to a system of social control that started with slavery, morphed into sharecropping and black codes, then moved into Jim Crow, and now we have what is known as the new Jim Crow, right? So what I argue is that if there would be any type of reparations, it wouldn't necessarily be for what? Enslavement, because they were willing participants. It would be for what? Crimes against humanity, right? And where you have what? These colonial type wars of conquest, right? Due to neo-colonialism and structural adjustment and Western-backed coups that destabilize nations. That would be what I would think someone would advocate reparations for, but not for something in which they were an active, willing participant.
Okay. Roosevelt, you there? You ready, Roosevelt?
I'm unmuted now, right?
Yes.
Brother, first of all, let me say, if you in Cali, man, I miss the land. I've been here
Cali?
about a year. Yeah,
are you
Cali?
in Cali?
Yeah,
no, I'm in Georgia, but you miss Cali?
Yeah, not the climate that's going on, but my family, my people. I'm from Watts, so we always gonna have a love for growing up around Tookie, and then you run over and see Easy.
Yeah. So I used to do outreach. I had an outreach program at not Nickerson Gardens, but what's the other projects in Watts? Not Nickerson Gardens. Hold on. Come on, Dinas. Name some of the projects in Watts.
Jordan Downs, Imperial Courts.
Not Jordan Downs. Imperial Courts. Imperial Courts. I used to have.
You look very familiar. I mean, we all look alike, coming up in the hood. There's somebody you can grow up with. But I just want to touch on your point. Reparations is not something that you receive when you are currently possibly in agreements with the people that you want to pay you. I've been here now for nearly a year, and I wasn't really with the return and welcome home, but I had to get out of America. But when Nana said that we could come, we were welcome, we could get citizenship, to me, it's typical of what I'm seeing now. Everybody is getting in on whatever money is coming from different regions, and it's a good call to welcome us back, but then to have us have to go through different channels to get citizenship. You know, I understand every land has their taxes and, you know, all of the proceedings and codes, but in my opinion, I've only been here for about 66 years on the earth, so I'm not that, you know, old, but all of Africa is going to have to break change with Western philosophy. It doesn't matter what you give them. It doesn't matter what you come and invest with your power, your construction, your technology, everything. Africa is going to have to heal themselves mentally, because there's a lot of, and I'm gonna get off my soapbox after I say this, there's a lot of tribal infighting and psychological disadvantage that we are putting one another at by these boundaries, borders, and effects of colonization. And then you have leaders who are in bed with the West. And so it's bigger than, you know, you're just saying we need reparations along with Africa, African diaspora. I'll just say this and I'm done. I feel like there's a scramble, and it's indicative of the Black Panther movie 1 and 2. There's a scramble to grab what belongs to only us. The diaspora is like nobody in the world. Africa needs our mind. That's it. I'm done.
Okay. Skywalker, go ahead and mute yourself, Skywalker.
Hey, Adonis, man, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, bro. How you doing? I hear you. Fine, go ahead.
Me, you know, I'm all for reparations if it's the right kind of reparations. I don't think that we need reparations in the form of money, in my opinion. And I'm completely against reparations for people who participated in slavery. So I'm with everybody else, I think, on the panel on that one. You know, and so even though one of the things that the president of Ghana did, he did publicly apologize for that, right? So he did acknowledge that. And I really do respect him for that. But I don't think that he needs to be calling for any kind of reparations, right? If anything, he should be offering people in the diaspora reparations in the form of land, because I really don't agree with reparations in the form of money, because all the money got pictures of white people on them, right? You know what I'm saying? So, and eventually when you get the money, all you're going to do is invest it right back into their system. So monetary reparations to me just seems completely redundant. And anybody who asks for it really don't even ask for monetary reparations, are pretty much subjects of mass propaganda in the form of the reparations argument. And that flavor of reparations in the form of monetary rewards, I just completely do not agree with. But any kind of form of reparations.
Let me ask the question: what type of reparations would you be comfortable with?
I will be comfortable with acres, right? Acres of land, right? Black people already have the mind. We already really pretty much have the money if we put it in the right place rather than spending it on bullshit we don't need. We just need land, right? We need acres. So that's the kind of reparations that the Black people should be imploring. Acres. But I'm done.
So Skywalker, how do you feel about the term "cut the check"? Like, what are your thoughts on "cut the check"?
I think it's bullshit, right? You know, to cut the check, they need to be saying cut aside some land, right? Make the fence. That's what they need to be saying, right? What was August Wilson? Some people build fences to keep people out. Some people build it to keep people in. Build a fence, right? You know what I'm saying? Separating our land for the diasporans to return back to Africa. And once we return back to Africa, then and obviously, hopefully, when we return back, if we was to, I mean, I'm speaking theoretically, obviously, right? If we was to turn back to Africa, we would be in a position to set up a situation where we could defend the land that we've been afforded, and from there we can move forward, right? And I think it's Tu Niger, who I completely agree with, in one of your other shows, that said that one of the first things that Black people really need to be focused on, or the reparations, or Africa need to be focused on, is defense. I mean, I think the Liberian army got 12,000 people in it, if I'm not mistaken, or 15,000 people. Well, what kind of army is that, right? The police department in Detroit could destroy Liberia, right? You know what I'm saying?
They got more than here.
Exactly, right? So,
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I should laugh at that.
But I'm done. I'm I'm gonna mute myself and let somebody else speak.
Okay, go ahead, Larry. Go ahead, Larry. Unmute yourself.
Hello, greetings. In regards to the topic, no, they don't deserve reparations. Even though I know historically, I know of 2 African countries that did get reparations. Ethiopia got reparations, but I think that's because Italy invaded them.
Yes.
So Italy had to pay them. I think it was 25 million or 20-something million.
Yeah, it was
and I know
it was 25 million.
Yeah. And I know Namibia is supposed to be getting reparations from Germany because of the genocide that took place there when Namibia was part of the German Empire, and they massacred a lot of tribes there. So I know that.
Larry, if I can interject, Larry, sorry to interject. You notice the 2 European countries that were paid reparations were the ones that lost in World War II, though. You notice that, right?
Yeah, typically only a nation pays reparations when they're on the losing end of a conflict. So that's just something to consider as well. So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well noticed. Yeah, that's true. But in regards to that, I don't think Ghana deserves reparations. I don't think any of the West African countries deserve reparations. Even some of the Southern African countries, to ask for reparations in regards to slavery, I mean, that's a joke. They don't deserve it. They were heavily involved in it. I'd like to see the legal paperwork. How does it work out that you pay Ghana reparations when Ghana as a nation did not exist during the time of the slavery? It was the various kingdoms, Ashanti and whatnot. So I don't know how that works. And I think personally, if Ghana is stupid enough to get reparations from this, then Black Americans should find a way to then start demanding that the African nations pay them reparations. Because if Ghana is going to say, oh yeah, Europe, you pay Ghana reparations, then a Black American can then say, oh, well, I'm going to go down that road and say, Ghana as a nation, you pay us reparations. Because you can't then back off and say, oh, well, Ghana didn't exist, because you're now using your nation to get reparations. They don't deserve reparations, none of them, because they were all complicit. They were all part of the slave trade. There's nothing that I can do to change that history. They were all part of it. And I think this is why when people say they don't like African leaders, and some people think that we're just making excuses. I mean, what African leader would have the audacity to demand that his country gets paid reparations for slavery, considering that his ancestry was involved in slavery? This is why it's like a lot of these leaders are like really dumb and irritating. But yeah, that's my point. I don't agree with it. I don't think they deserve it, and I'll be shocked and unhappy if they do get reparations. That's what I have to say.
So I'm not sure if you played the video, Dynast, but the clip that I seen, he recommended that African countries receive reparations as a block. So he wasn't specifically saying Africa, but he was saying like come together in the African Union, and Africans in the diaspora together to receive reparations from slavery, which I still don't necessarily agree with that. But yeah.
Yeah, guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button again. Please hit the like button. The link is in the chat room again. Please, link is in the chat room. If you want to call in, click the link. What's that say?
Cool. And I think another issue that we should kind of take a look at when we're having this conversation, and Dynast, you talked about vertical integration, and I agree with you. We need to stop as a people. Of course, you know, we're talking about particularly brothers and sisters on the continent of taking raw materials, selling them to Europe or the Western world, and then allowing them to produce a finished product and sell it on the world market. But what I would say is, and this goes to, I think, the brother Skywalker, when he talked about defense, right? Because we know Muammar Gaddafi tried that. Patrice Lumumba tried that, and we saw what happened, right? So there has to be some military power and strength there to say, when we say we're going to go find economically independent, that we don't have to worry about nation state turning into what the Congo has been the past 60 years or the past 10 years, what Libya has been.
Hey, Dynas, can I I'm a while back when I was on the show, I tried to read something, but I kept going out, but I got it in my hand right now. It's very short. I just want to read this to you.
Okay,
It's Edward Blyton.
we hope you don't go out again. But go ahead.
Okay, so this is Edward Blyton, who's considered the father of Pan-Africanism. He was a very famous.
Today is his birthday, by the way.
Oh yeah, today's my birthday as well. We were born on the same day.
Congratulations, happy birthday!
Thank you.
Happy birthday to the brother.
Thank you, brother. So anyone who is now, and I quote, anyone who has traveled at all in Western Africa, especially in the interior of Liberia, and has seen how extensive and beautiful a country, marvelously fertile, lies uninhabited, with its attractive and perennial verdure overspreading the hills and valleys, cannot but come to the conclusion that this beauteous domain is in reserve for a people who are to come and cultivate it. And we can see no people so well prepared and adapted for this work as the Negroes of the United States. They are now in America, carried away by fascinating and absorbing speculations about the rights and privileges they are to enjoy in that land. Numerous politicians are endeavoring to advance their own ambitious purposes by agitating questions of the Black man's future in the United States. But unless they can succeed in roughly altering the estimation of the Negro entertained by the mass of white men in that country, unless they can effectually remove, unless they can effectually remove the predominant, if not instinctive feeling that he is in some way an alien and an inferior being, unless they can succeed in bringing to pass general and honorable amalgamation so as to render the social and domestic interests of the two peoples identical, they will contribute really nothing to the solution of the Black man's difficulties. The agitation they are keeping up will result only in the determination by the white man in the different states of the exact proportion of self-government to be doled out to the man of color. And it matters not what may be the extent of political rights and privileges which may be thus conferred, deprived of the ability to rise in the social scale according to his personal merit as Europeans can, the Black man will always find his condition anomalous and galling. If intelligent and enterprising, he will not be content with political position and influence, with finding himself respected and honored in political gatherings for political purposes raised to the stars at public meetings, and on returning home finding his family, his mother and sisters, pining and withering under the influence of social caste. Black men of refinement and energy of character will feel more sensitively than ever the burden of existence in America. They will appreciate more and more keenly the enormous difficulties in the way of their ever enjoying full political rights and privileges in a country in which they must maintain an ever increasing numerical inferiority. They will find that under such circumstances, in a popular government, a people cannot grow in all the elements of a true and perfect manhood, but must limp through life with crippled energies, always in the rear of their superiors in number. They will then come to a wiser interpretation of their mission and destiny, abandoning the disappointing and fretful illusions which harass them in the land of their birth. They will look abroad for some of the untrammeled growth, and Africa will without doubt be the final home and field of operations for thousands, if not millions of them. Close quote. Now, yeah, I think we need a moment of silence after that one.
Hey, gas them up. Go ahead, gas them up. Unmute yourself, gas them up.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Okay, so that was a real powerful quote by the brother Skywalker. Good stuff there. On a shameless plug, but on the channel that I have with Jose Bronze and Tanzan, they weren't on this particular. You could Google it, gas them up, just type it in YouTube, you'll see it pop up. But we had a great conversation. I had a conversation with a gentleman who was African American, and we were talking about African culpability within the slave trade. It's a real great discussion. And effectively, at least my conclusion, the conclusion that we walked away with was that we can, to a large degree, actually pinpoint the particular groups that were responsible and that did engage in the slave trade. People throw a blanket statement and say Africans sold, us into slavery. It really, there was a whole lot of upheaval that was occurring ever since the African encountered that Portuguese man of war. As a matter of fact, the word propaganda is tied back to the slave trade because the Pope announced his blessings and said that it is okay to grab Africans off the coast and to commit the atrocities they did to the Native Americans as long as they are propagating the faith. So effectively, because they were heathens and they weren't Christians, it was a-okay for the Portuguese to and Europe in general to do what they did on that continent. And there was a disruption. You had people who did not want to go along with the change in social hierarchy. There's a great book one can read by Belasco called The Entrepreneur Social Hero. Belasco is the author. The title of the book is The Entrepreneur as Social Hero. Very interesting book. And it actually alerted me to the fact that, like you go to Nigeria and within the spiritual systems, whether you're into Ifa, you hear about Olokun. And I had no idea that Olokun was as a result of that nexus of that trade when Africans stopped looking internally, that is intra-Africa trade, and started looking externally, that is to the so-called waters, the Mami Wata, and all these other things for the source of wealth. And so it's very interesting. And, he talks about how in Benin society, even the rise of so-called Obas, and these things are all as a result of that intrusion because African societies became monetized, right? It's a fact that there's only one native species or two or three, don't quote me, but the cowrie shell that's predominant all throughout West Africa. You see all these girls and guys putting cowrie shells in their hair thinking they're doing something African. It's not even native to Africa. Trillions or billions of cowrie shells were imported into West Africa, effectively monetizing those societies, creating these caste systems. And so there was a great fight that was occurring. You had, which you still have to this day, you have sellout elites, and you had the people at the so-called bottom. So you can look at a group, for example, like the Arochukwu, who were acting as a buffer zone, using the spirituality against those people who were in the hinterland, taking full advantage of them, right? And you can trace who these Arochukwu chiefs were. You can trace who was responsible to a large degree for these things. You can see a woman like Madame Tinubu. You can see a guy like William Pebble. Right, you can trace these people. So I think people have to stop being lazy and really put on their intellectual muscles and do the hard work and start doing the research to say who was responsible during the slave trade and what was occurring. And so I'm saying all that to say, and I'll sum quickly. I don't want to get too long-winded, but that upheaval in the social hierarchy that was occurring, it created lasting, dangerous, damaging effects to this day. Some scholars contend the reasons why you have tribal marks is because of that slave trade. It was used as a form of identification because people were just being snatched, right? You can read a book called The Two Princes of Calabar. You can Google it, The Two Princes of Calabar. Devastating book in terms of how the Europeans, you had the rise of slavery with Old Town, then you got New Town, and the Europeans backed New Town to take over, and these two princes from Old Town were shipped over into the West Indies in America during the slave trade. So there was that fight. So now it's a family issue. So I always tell my African American brothers whenever I'm in the US, I tell them, I say, listen, man, it's painful because you could have been my family member. And imagine, right, that let's say in the 1500s, the 1600s, your great grandfather and my great grandfather are brothers, and they never see each other again. And now here we come in the so-called future, and we're fighting because of external and internal sellouts. People who have a mentality of just being complete sellouts. And so we're seeing that play out to this day with African leadership. So to address the topic of at hand, with the Ghanaian president, I find it interesting that now that he wants this IMF loan, now that he sees that these Western policies that you trying to follow, you out there giving speeches in front of the French president, instead of keeping quiet and moving in silence, you announcing to them what you're gonna do, and you don't have the tools to properly fight these people. So now you got to go for Ghana's 18th IMF loan. Not number one, not number two. This is Ghana's 18th IMF loan, 30% inflation. I remember back in the days, there used to be jokes. Nigerian comedians used to make jokes of how worthless the cedi was. I mean, the naira ain't nothing either. It's fallen down. It was almost 720 a naira. It kind of dropped after they threatened the bureau to change. But they used to make jokes about how worthless the cedi was, and they restructured the economy. They tried to bring the cedi on par.
Hey,
the cedi is the Ghanaian currency, right? And so now, yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, because, man, like I really think I agree with you. Like when on some points that we really need to, you know what I'm saying, tell both sides of the stories, you know, like kind of really understand the influence why some of the dumb decisions that some of these politicians are making, right? And just as a side note, Edward Blyden went out on his speech. Really, if you listen to what he was saying, he's really prophesizing the future, because everything he was saying is what we kind of do right now, right? But anyway, and you mentioned the word propaganda. The word propaganda actually, you know, I got a background in linguistics. Propaganda, actually, the "duh" on the end of that word is just there to signify that English word as a noun, right? And so it's not really related to the word propagate, the word propaganda. The word propaganda is really related to when you take the "duh" away from it, you're left with the word pro-pagan, right? Pro-pagan. Pro is a Latin prefix that can either mean two things: to be a supporter of something or to be very, very esteemed as something. And pagan means to believe in, well, you know what pagan means, right? It means to believe in lower gods or whatever you want to call it, right? And so actually, that's the result of propaganda. Anybody who exposed themselves to a lot of propaganda, two things happen. Either they become a paganist, right? They start to kind of question God and all, and start to kind of practice the practices of the thing, that the content they've been exposed to, or they become hypocrites, right? They continue to believe in whatever they believe, or continue to say they're moral, but they act completely opposite. So that's where the word propaganda come from. It doesn't come from the word propagate. But and also
I would push back a little. I don't know if I agree with that. You can check out, you can definitely technically Google it. You can read the book by Edward Bernays on propaganda. It actually was traced back to the Catholic Church, but again, I could be wrong. But I just wanted to say this quickly before you interjected. I just want about the Ghanaian president. It's interesting that now he's asking for reparations when his country is facing 30% inflation. The IMF loan, like I said, they're on their 18th IMF loan. So this should be a lesson, in my opinion, to whether you're an African leader or you're an African in the diaspora. If you call yourself that, FBA, whatever you want to be, if you like Africans, whatever, if you're on the continent, to me, this is the perfect example that you can't beat them at their system. And we like to talk about Asia. Look at Asia. Asia was selected to a large degree, whether we want to accept it or not. Like I say all the time, it was on the backs of African Americans losing industrial jobs when the industries, with Nixon accepting China. So the sacrifice of African Americans losing their ability to have jobs is what allowed China to be the behemoth that it is. So, you know, I'm just saying that, in my opinion, this is a perfect example of African leaders not understanding that if you are going to play their game, you're going to end up losing. We have to be prepared that, listen, a lot of this material consumption, a lot of this importation has got to end. We're going to have to eat what we produce, be comfortable with what we can make, and stop allowing the media to seduce us and propagate this idea that we have to have every African needs a dog, a white picket fence, and some jollof rice and amapiano in the background. That's not economic development. But I know people like Brother Lindsay will touch on that a lot better than I can. So I'll stop there.
Can I ask a question? I'm assuming everybody can hear me. Good afternoon, everyone. The brother that just was speaking, you said that the cowrie shell was imported. Where is it from? Where was it imported from?
I believe it's Asia. If I believe it was Asia. Do not quote me on that because I haven't read these things since undergrad. But the cowrie shell is not native to West Africa. The
No,
particular
that
cowrie
is
shell
true.
that they
That
were
is true.
using.
We're talking Indonesia to be specific. Absolutely. I took
Yes,
in the undergrad
yes,
transatlantic slave trade. The cowrie shells were used as the means of currency in trading for humans known as our African ancestors, but they came from Indonesia. And if I want to pinpoint it, I would probably say Java.
Oh.
With the Dutch.
it probably did because also not only that they were using cowrie shells, manillas, and they also the so-called African clothes. These prints that Africans are wearing, thinking that it's something fancy, actually comes from Holland. It was Dutch wax, and the Dutch were trying to copy the Indian madras clothing. But the Indians were like, we don't want this BS because nobody wanted the European stuff from their markets. Everybody was like, we don't want it. The Europeans had to force everybody on the global market with gunboat diplomacy. You can look at Commodore Perry. You can look at the opiums that they did. You can look at how they attacked the Ottoman Empire. Nobody wanted what the Europeans had. They literally used force and trickery to get everybody on their global market. So I always tell people, free trade does not benefit your country. Free trade benefits Europe and America because, as the sister Rokoya was saying yesterday, all of the resources end up in these countries cheaply. Because if Africa was really running, an iPad would probably be $3,000 because you're going to have to pay those Congolese workers properly. You're going to have to pay them health insurance. You're going to have to pay them all the things that you afford American and European workers if African resources were extracted properly. And so free trade, we know, only benefits them. And that's why I'm always confused why African leaders come on these platforms, come on in power, and people come on platforms thinking we can beat these Europeans at a system. You know, you can read Emmanuel Wallerstein at a global system that's theirs that they designed. Absolutely. But I'll stop there.
Absolutely. And I think another issue, and I think Brother Gassama mentioned that we have some high level traders, and I've mentioned this in the past shows, but I don't want to be redundant. But one of the major issues we're facing is that whenever you have oppression, you have three primary groups. You have what the perpetrators, the collaborators, and of course the victims, right? And I mentioned this even when we talk about the Jewish Holocaust, that, you know, Jewish scholars have even stated they wouldn't have been able to successfully round up Jewish people and send them to the ghettos of Warsaw, send them to the concentration camps if it wasn't for the complicity and help of the Judenreich councils, right? So unfortunately, this is something that's taken place throughout world history, that when one group wants to come in and oppress and invade, they have some people who are already there that's down with their cause, right? If you look at the Hollywood dramatization of the movie 300, right? They had individuals in Greece who were there supposed to be with the Spartans, who got this Spartan vigor that we're going to fight no matter what, who was down with Xerxes, right? So this is unfortunately something that happens, and we know that the transatlantic slave trade shifted the balance of power economically from the global south to, of course, the global north due to the Industrial Revolution. But what I will say about Ghana is one thing that they have been doing since 1992 is they have every 2 years they have a Panafest, and that Panafest event is sponsored by the Ghanaian government. And Brother Dynast might know more about this than me, but it's for Africans and members of the diaspora to actually address the pain that came as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and try to heal those wounds. And so there's a number of healing rituals that take place in honest conversation, as we stated before early in the broadcast, that what the Ghanaian government actually came out and issued a formal apology on behalf of the Ghanaian government for its role in what the nation states that comprise what is now Ghana, playing a role, unfortunately, in the selling of Africans to and sending them off to the Western world.
You know, I don't want to come across as being disrespectful, and I'm certainly not an expert on any policy as it relates to trade. But one thing I do think that is happening and is shocking the whole world is we're seeing a system fall. We're seeing a system that has posed as being the wealthiest. And it's a psychological coup. It's a spiritual coup that the so-called white man, because he's not white, this is white, legally and morally, we're more white than anyone in the world. But I'm not going to get into that because that's a different story for a different time. But think about this, Brother Dynast. You have all of the resources. I don't care what anybody says. And Ghana traded with beads. That's one thing I know. Their biggest trade was beads. You have all of the resources here in different parts of this place that they have sliced up and called Africa. They have said this is Nigeria. This at one time was Rhode Island, Rhodesia, this at one time. Anyway, you have all of the resources and you have the richest people morally. I've been here with these Ghanaians and I'm telling you, they want money just like everybody else, but they will do something for you. And you will surprise them if you give them money. And then if you give them more than what they expect, they're ready to just bow down and worship you. And I tell them all the time, the Ghanaian CD is worth 10 times more than the American dollar. You just don't know it because your mind has been shifted toward Western economics that is non-existent. Everything that the so-called white man touches and puts his hands on. And I don't want us to go in that direction, but you're talking about reparations. You cannot ignore who has been in the middle of this and who we are seeking reparations from. You can't ignore that. Every system of economics that rules in the minds of the people of the world is governed by the man who has less of everything than everybody. And with inflation, I don't care what they say. I heard the CEO of the IMF, he was rebuking Nana for their irresponsibility with money. But let's get clear about something. If they do what they planning on doing with money and fiat currency, ain't nobody's reparations gonna matter no way. It's not gonna even be important. Now, to answer the question, of course not. I mean, I think this is an excellent topic. I think this should be ran probably for a month, Prince, because this is a question that people have opinions about. This is a question that people are saying, you need to take care of us. You need to repay us. You need to repair us. I don't want to bust nobody's bubble, but every prophetic book, you pick any one, any book of philosophy, history, or spirituality, theology, every book says that no one is going to repair or redeem us as a so-called Black people or African people. No one is going to redeem us. And where I always go with this kind of question, this kind of dialogue, especially when people chime in that have a knowledge of history, I always go to what is currently happening. You have the richest people in the world, whether here or those of us in the diaspora. You have the richest people in the world asking for their moral character, their image, and their morale to be restored, to be given back to them. Because if you look at what's happening with money, come on, y'all. Look what it's food running out on the shelves in America. What are we gonna do with money? And what Who of us thinks that the president here is really being smart? I don't think he's being smart. I don't think he's being bodacious. I don't think he's saying anything. This might get me in trouble with some locals. A lot of them know me around here. I'm always running my mouth somewhere. I don't think he's really saying anything that he doesn't know what he's saying, and he's biting off more than he can chew, and I don't think he's doing that at all. I think he's being a leader. I think he's doing what he has to do. And unfortunately, if you have British law in your courts, if the West is controlling your trade in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you better find another way.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Roosevelt, let me
in the Caribbean. I would like to add to what you just said. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Deneb. Go ahead, Deneb. Then we'll pass it up. Philip. Go ahead, Deneb.
I just want to piggyback. So whatever you want to say, veggie back, whatever. Look at the 3 countries in the Caribbean and Central America that just got its sovereignty from Britain this year. Going to what you just said, and coincidentally enough, my family is from all 3 islands, all 3 countries. So I'm right with you. What you saying, brother Roosevelt? Definitely. Turn on your mic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, let's do this. Let's pass it to Philip. Go ahead, Philip.
Okay, salute everybody. Dynast, Roosevelt, Pan-African Capitalist, Lumumba Speaks, Skywalker, Deneb, Gassam and Illyri. I just wanted to drop in. This is one of my big topics. When Dynast and I first met, this was the topic that it was about. Yvette Carnell and Tone Talks were on the first round of their efforts towards reparations. And the big issue here is this. There is a thing that Dynast just brought up about how the Ghanaians participated in the trade. But that, from a legal standpoint, does not necessarily block the ability of both the diaspora and Ghanaians themselves to make a claim. And the reason why is because I would argue that those contracts were contracts of adhesion. And what that means is if there's unequal bargaining power when you make the contract, then the ability of that contract to be enforced or to say that it was a thing that would prevent you from saying, hey, I was taken advantage of in this contract because I didn't have equal power to negotiate my terms. So if you remember, Dynast, when we first spoke, there are 2 issues in the United States that have been blocking reparation, at least by the U.S. Supreme Court. The first issue is that the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that
we lost him. Let me bring Joni on. Joni, go ahead and mute yourself, Joni.
Oh, hi, panel. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for having me. So I just wanted to talk about the reparations that Africa is seeking, specifically Ghana. I think I just thought about it. I think maybe this is just my 2 cents. If Africa receives reparation, it should be in 2 folds. One should be to build their infrastructure, re-educate the people, and end tribalism. And the second should be to help the diaspora and repatriate back to Africa as an option, whoever wants to. So I think those 2 things to help heal the gash, because there is a gash of, feeling that we were sold into slavery. So I think those 2 things should be implemented. And I just want to hear everybody else's thoughts. I'll mute now.
Can I add to that really quickly?
Well, let's do this. Hold on, because Philip's back and we had lost him. Let's Philip finish. We'll pass it to you, Deneb. Go ahead, Philip.
I'll try to be brief. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my computer today. I think I got too much going on, but either that or the courts don't want me to talk about it. but the bottom line is
that's the real answer.
yeah, exactly. That bottom line is, look, African Americans can be put into a class that the Ghanaians can grandfather our citizenship back based on DNA evidence. We just talked about Sierra Leone is doing this now to say, hey, look, these people came from this place and they are now citizens. We're making them as a whole class. This is how much we lost in terms of economics as a result of losing this many citizens. At this point, it was worth this. For example, they've already done the numbers. Each slave had a 1,200% profit margin, each slave. So you can calculate this person was worth this, and when they were sold, they were worth that, and that would be worth X amount in today's dollars. Okay, that it can be done. The issue has been, and that's where I was going with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, ruled that in the previous efforts at reparations, that the standing, which is your ability to bring the claim because you are a victim of a bad contract or whatever, because this isn't criminal, it's civil, that it doesn't adhere to present day descendants. It doesn't pass down. So unlike, say, the Holocaust victims, where their families were injured in World War II, but you have even great-grandchildren still receiving reparations from the Germans and other groups because their claim, their damage from the Holocaust drops down generationally. The U.S. Supreme Court blocked that for African Americans. Okay, so how do you bring it? And this is what I said to Dinas at the very beginning. How you bring it is you're not an American. You're an American that's been falsely imprisoned multi-generationally, and you're actually a Ghanaian, which is the fact. The fact is that you came from Ghana or Nigeria or Benin or wherever your DNA says. And so then Ghana comes forward with the claim, and they can actually file that in New York. They can file a claim from Ghana versus the United States and the corporations that benefited from the slave trade, and we're off and going. But the issue that Dinas raised is a legitimate one. I could see the United States government coming back and saying, well, look, you guys willingly participated, blah, blah, blah. You made this amount of money. We paid you. So what's the problem? And the answer is, well, maybe that was a contract of adhesion. And here's why. Because when you came in and you had superior weaponry and we were messing up, the kings were with the gold, and so that we needed money, then our only choice was to sell the next most valuable thing, which was people, because we were an agrarian society, and that these guns, we didn't have weaponry to say no. We didn't have position to say no. It was either the people or our kingdom was wiped out. I think there's a very convincing legal argument there. But we have to get in the mind of, what are we really? Are we Ghanaians? Are we Nigerians? Or are we some hybrided American citizen that has second-class status? Because that's the fact. The fact is, the Constitution that was written did not intend for Native Americans nor the Africans to become citizens. We got amendments. So I'm just going to throw that out there, and the panel can, whatever. But this is my thing, is that if we're serious about the reparations, I hear everybody, cut the check and this, that, and the other. Well, you want to get it, or you want to sit and talk about whose fault it is? This is a way.
I wonder what Tariq would say to you.
Oh, he'd be mad. Looking at it from an aspect of contract law is real interesting, right? I think you got a lot of elements of contract law.
Well, guys, let's do this. Let's pass it. Deneb was next. Go ahead, Deneb.
Oh,
you got to mute yourself, Deneb.
Yes, I just wanted to add on to what Joni had said, and Wait, what was it that she wait? I lost. Now I lost the thought.
I
Hold on.
know, right? The guy spoke a
Hey,
lot,
what
right?
were you saying again? Yeah, that was everybody's on point. What were
She
you
said
saying,
that
Joni?
citizenship should be helped, and
Oh,
people
okay.
from the
Now this is what
diaspora
I
should.
want to say. I personally, now listen, I've been here. I'm from New York. I've been in this country my whole life, and I'm from, the most populous part of the country. Well, many of the people actually are not from America, where I'm from. I personally get the feeling, and I went to college in Pennsylvania. I went to college in Philly. I personally get the feeling that Black Americans, notice how I said that, do not want to repatriate to Africa. I get that feeling. Okay. My grandmother is Cuban. She's the only grandparent I ever met. My other grandparents are either from the Caribbean or from the South. And I never wanted to stay here since I was a baby, since I was a child. And we got a story, you know what I mean? But the thing is that instead of extending this to Black Americans who at least have citizenship in America, at least you got something. I would say, why don't people look at addressing the Caribbean, Haiti, and the rest of these Caribbean nations that have the issues that they got. Cuba, the people are not allowed to leave that country. They are not allowed to leave. Dominican Republic, whatever. I'm not Dominican. But I'm just saying those places, those particular places where they kept the African culture very extremely rich, and they would. And hey, listen. I met my grandmother, but I rarely was able to even speak to her because of the language barrier. And when you go and you look at the demographics of the African continent, there's like one tiny country called Equatorial Guinea, and probably another one that speaks Spanish. But guess what? We have the culture in our blood. You know what I mean? And like I said, I just get the feeling that a lot of Black Americans, and I think perhaps a lot of it has to do with the fact that they want to tap into their indigenous, side and etc. And I don't got no problems with it because I want to as well. But I think that addressing Haiti, who actually applied for entry in the AU, it needs to be addressed. What's going on, and then we could start talking junk about France because here we go again with the same place. This country actually paid France reparations. It
Yeah,
just don't make
I'm
sense.
Haitian. I'm Haitian. I'm
Can I
Haitian.
respond to
So
her?
I know I'm
It
Haitian.
just don't
So
make sense. Yeah.
no, I'm Haitian, so I can respond to that. And Cuba
Yes.
is in the Caribbean, so that's the same thing. I think for
Right.
us Haitians, we just got to clean up our country. But to say that, I never grew up thinking I didn't know who I was. So, like my ancestors always used to tell me who I was, how did they fight for us. So it's not really a big. I think maybe for the younger people, maybe 20 or lower in Haiti, we probably having an issue, but them old heads, we don't have a problem with like being confused of who we are. That's not the issue. When I said
Mhm.
for the two different folds for Africa, because Ghana, the president wanted to do it as a block for them to get reparations from Europe and America. So I was thinking as a block, they can do it two folds. They can um, you know develop an infrastructure and then give us citizenship and land ownership. The diasporan, I mean, America, Central America, and the Caribbeans. I wasn't gonna leave out the Caribbeans, but
Yeah.
as an option, like give us
Yeah.
citizenship as an option. If we want to go, fine, but just give it an option. My grandmother always said, you don't have to do it, but you have options. And apologies don't mean anything to me. Like you could say sorry till tomorrow. Where the check? Where the money? That's that's where we do. So that's how we do. But I really don't. Haiti has its own options, and the AU declined Haiti's um, they said no to us. So, but we're a special advisor, I guess, like that. But they said no to us. But I really don't have a problem about where we from or anything like that.
Be specific of who said, sister, be specific. It's just like I was saying in that conversation about the slave trade. Remember, these are African elites who said no, because these are the African elites who are in the AU. No, I'm not saying you did. No, I'm not saying you have a problem. I'm just saying, but a lot of times we're not specific, because I can pretty much say that the people on the ground would probably have no problem with Haitians being a part of the AU. It's the elites, these sellout elite leaders, because they are the ones who are in these positions of authority. And 9 out of 10, you find out, where was this so-called elite leader in Africa educated, right? They were educated in Europe, right? In the West.
But,
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can correct me, isn't the guy from Rwanda, I've seen him on interviews, the president, hasn't he been in interviews with, what's that guy's name? The guy who killed all those people, the white guy who used to be an advisor. Man, that
not
white
Bashir,
guy.
not Bashir.
No, not Bashir. The white guy, Philip. You know the white guy. He was like he's all about war. He's saying that people should be eradicated.
Who was that?
I don't know.
That white guy. Man, I'll come back to it. But I'm just saying, you know,
Google it and come back. I just want to.
Yeah, but you know, go ahead, Philip.
Said about the islands, because look,
we need our own union. The Caribbean needs our own union. We don't. I think Haiti did. I think Haiti is good to be an observer, but damn, the Caribbean needs its own. We need a Caribbean union.
They have CARICOM, but here's the thing, and I just wanted to address Deneb. Am I pronouncing your name correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. That and Joni as well. And Joni and I actually have more in common than she thinks, but let me deal with the Caribbean thing. The first problem that you've got with the FBA, you know, the people that are along this line of identifying Americans, is they're not dealing with the actual history, which is that American slaves and Caribbean slaves were interchanged tremendously.
Right.
And that actually the waypoint for American slaves was to the Caribbean first and then to the United States. But then what happens is in 1830, after the slave trade is now starting to be slowed down, then there's a huge importation of African women. Why? Because what they decide is, because if you go back and you look, initially the slaves were mostly African men. There were not as many women. What they decide is, now we're going to start breeding Africans in the United States, not importing them. This was kind of the hook move. So yeah, okay, we're going to slow down the trade, but what we're actually going to do, and you can look around the United States, there was a huge one outside of Baltimore, Maryland, that they had these slave breeding farms. So to try what FBA is trying to do, to say, oh, these are Black Americans and these are Caribbean Americans and these are no. That you could have been born in the United States and then sent to Cuba, or you could have been born in Cuba and sent to the United States. It's a mess. Let's keep it simple. We all came from Ghana, Nigeria, Benin, Senegal, Congo. That's where we came from. Where we wound up could be a whole bunch of things. When you look at your DNA test, you'll see, at least on mine, it had a lot of countries. So the bottom line is, we want to keep that simple. Are there issues that the Haitians specifically have? Yes. Are there issues that the Cubans specifically have? Yes. But what unites the situation together is to say, this person, your line came from Nigeria, or it came from Ghana, or it came from wherever in Africa it came from. So to bring the claim, that's the way to do it. Now, should there be additional supplemental claims by the Cubans and the Bahamians and Jamaicans? Absolutely. There are specific crimes that were committed against Haiti that have to be addressed, like making them pay for their freedom. Or in the case, my family is Louisianan. Louisiana was the #1 trading partner of Haiti. The reason why it's part of the United States now is because the United States with Thomas Jefferson decided they were going to embargo Haiti. to cut their money from trade, and they took away their number one partner, which was Louisiana. And that's why the Creole language in Louisiana is almost identical to the one in Haiti. It's a whole mess. We could go on and on and on about they did this and then they did that, et cetera. You know.
Philip, I just got the guy's name. You guys can Google that real quick.
Gas him up. Let's pass it.
I just want to say one thing, Dynasty. One thing, if you don't mind.
We got somebody waiting, and one thing turns. Let's just pass the.
All right.
See, I got to unmute yourself. See, I got to unmute. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, he can continue because I'm not ready right now. I'm just listening, but I'll be right. Give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to say this one thing real quick because I mentioned the African leaders. So it was interesting because I remember watching a YouTube video and the guy Henry Kissinger. You know, I try not to remember these Europeans, but all of you can Google this guy Henry Kissinger and the type of person he was and type of person he is. And here it is, Paul Kagame, right? So this article, I'll post it in the back chat, Diana, if you want to share it. President Kagame attends the New Africa Dialogue on AFCTA potential, whatever, African Continental Free Trade Area. And so it says here, just to make it simple, it was attended by Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo, former U.S. Secretary of State Dr. Henry Kissinger, and Paul Kagame. So, you know, with the sister saying the AU didn't want Haiti, think about African leadership. What African leader in their right mind with common sense wants to be in a room with Henry Kissinger?
Let me ask
talking
you this,
about
guys,
anything
man.
African free trade.
Did Marcus Garvey meet with the leader of the KKK?
Yes.
Listen,
Yeah,
I'm not a Marcus Garvey fan. I'm not a Marcus Garvey fan. I'm not a Garveyite. I'm none of those things. So, you know, whether you meet with the KKK or not, my whole point is you met with them in 2018 with the so-called Africa Continental Free Trade nonsense. Now you got 30% inflation in your country and you're begging the IMF for your 18th loan, talking about now you need reparations. All I'm saying is that, look, I get it. You're a capitalist and, you know, to a certain degree, yeah, you know, engaging in the free markets for you and this neocon, liberal markets things work in your opinion. This is just me speaking. I don't think it's going to help us in terms of development. But hey, you know, I don't want to get into that debate about, you know, capitalism with you. I don't want to do that. I'm just saying that, you know, I think African leaders have to say that again.
No, I'm saying that's not the debate. I'm not trying to talk about capitalism. I'm not a neocon and I'm not a globalist, but I understand.
Yes, I'm just saying
that's not the system that's the system that we in. You know what I'm saying? But my point about the Marcus Garvey thing,
listen.
You have to have some type of conversation with your so-called adversaries. I mean, you can't be an isolationist countries and you never meet with, you know, you just stick with African countries. That's never going to work in the type of global system that we currently have. But I did want to kind of comment on, I think, Felipe. So I understand that, yes, you know, the slavery system is kind of muddled up. My thing is this: we either have to choose if we're going to do specific reparation claims or if we're going to come together as one big block and have a reparation claim together. Because you can't say that, okay, we're going to include Caribbeans and other Black Americans, ADOS, FBA, whatever term you want to use in that claim when they have separate claims of their own that we're not included in. Now, if we're going to make one big claim as a block, that's fine. Caribbean, Black American, Brazilian, et cetera, but you can't try to be a part of a claim against the American government in the those American institutions like the universities and the banks that, you know, we can track and see that they participated in the slave trade, and then turn around as Jamaica and Cuba and Dominican Republic and have your own separate claim. That wouldn't be an equitable thing.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Of course you can. That let me just because he directly addressed me, that Listen, Pan-African capitalists, it's a ton of claims, brother. It's a ton of claims. You got the slavery claims, you got the Jim Crow claims, you got the lynching claims. This is just America, okay? Just dealing with that, right? Then you've got all of the structural damage, all of the wealth that Africa never recovered from the slave trade. So Ghana never recovered. Now, can you bring multiple claims for various things? Abso-freaking-lutely. But you got to have a claim that can go somewhere. The issue that I have, and when Dynas and I first started talking, the problem that the FBA Tone Talks Yvette Carnell, which I sent Tone Talks Antonio Moore the law review article from the University of Chicago that outlines the blockage of the claim. It's well known in legal circles what the problems are. If you try to bring it in the United States, they've ruled repeatedly no standing. Now, here's the joke. The reason why we can't the reason why the slaves didn't bring it was because they were enslaved. The reason why the people in Jim Crow didn't bring it is because there were rulings that Black Americans couldn't be on juries. Black Americans couldn't file claims against whites. Black Americans basically couldn't bring the claim. So the people that were actually damaged couldn't bring it. And they know that. So it's a circular argument. But the point is that Tone and Yvette and Tariq and countless others, and I'm not trying to bash those people. Thank God that they raised the issue and have been fighting for it, right, in their way. But it's not going to happen, at least not by the United States courts. Now, they have said, well, maybe we'll be able to bring it through the Congress, or, maybe we can get an executive order. They've talked about several different possibilities. Look, we can look at the Congress right now. Do you think that we will get a reparations claim through both houses, through the House and the Senate? We can't even get health care for everybody. So why even talk about that? That's like, I don't want to bash those guys. I
think I will say that those people that you just named are more like grassroots social agitators. So I think that they're doing their job of raising the issue, but I think that the two areas for us to actually get this thing passed would be people that's more in the legal realm and more in the political realm. So I do agree with you. Politically, currently, it's not really a popular subject, but I do appreciate them for continuing to put at least put the conversation towards those politicians and in the judicial system and what have you. I think that's the start of it. But once, the next step, I think, is, like I said, get lawyers, people that are experienced in law, people that are, that is for reparations for descendants of slaves in the diaspora in the political realm as well. So
thank you for saying that. Let me just throw one thing and then I'll be quiet. Look, we're on the right path. It's wonderful that these people, as you say, are raising the issue. Lawyers have been fighting for this since the 60s, man. That people have been digging deep. I'm not the most brilliant legal mind. There are minds much bigger than mine that have been fighting like hell to try to get this thing off the ground. But what we haven't tried is what I'm saying right now, which is to reverse bring it. Instead of trying to bring it through the United States courts on just us, to bring it the other way, to bring it from where we came from and then bring it that way. Now, it may fail because, look, these courts were not created by Africans. They were created by Europeans and their colonies. So there's another whole issue there. But if you're trying to make a moral statement, the way that you do this is you build up your economy so that you have leverage. And then you say, hey, guess what? Remember that money that you owed me? I couldn't collect on it then, but I'm absolutely collecting on it now. You feel me?
Can I ask you one quick question? Are you familiar with the Black City Plan for Reparations by Dr. Professor Reggie Mosley et al.?
I don't know anything about it. Please educate us.
Now I'll just drop it in the chat, not to take up the time.
All right, C, are you ready now? C, are you ready now?
Dennis, I want to ask you a question before the brother jumps on. Because here's my thing, you know, and it's for, I guess it's for the whole panel. We for years, for the past few years, 2017, 2016, everybody was touting Ghana's fast growing economy. Everybody was screaming this stuff, which is cool. It probably was, you know, in terms of their metrics. But I don't know. I'm just kind of confused again. Are we not seeing these patterns repeat themselves? Like, when are we going to sit there and come up? I don't think I'm not going to profess or get up here and, you know, say that there's a solution that I have. But at what point are we going to realize that we can't win their game? So with all that growth that so-called Ghana got, the year of return, they're still at 30% inflation. The people in the markets, I was seeing the video, I think I sent it to Dynas, the ladies in the markets will go, they're like, man, look, I can't buy this, so you know what? My kids will just do without today, right? In Nigeria, the cost of a pot of jollof rice is increasing. That's one of the ways they check the metric for inflation. So we keep playing these games, and like the brother is saying about the court system, they run the whole system. Look at Russia struggling to get off the SWIFT payment system. We don't have that in place to even engage, to me, in any type of free market capitalist game that they're playing. We don't have the infrastructure. When Ghana was enjoying all that growth, why didn't he create a stronger tax base? Why didn't he create a stronger tax enforcement system where he could raise local taxes to fund his economy? Because that's the magic of the United States and the West. They borrow money on the backs of the American taxpayer, plain and simple, and they have the strongest military. They got the biggest guns. That's just it's pretty much what it is. So the United States can float a bond for the next 40 years out because they know they'll drop, you know, they'll shoot you with the guns, and the American taxpayer will always pay their taxes. So we're not in that luxury, in my opinion, to play these type of economic games with them. Not only, even if we did, we still got to contend with their economic hitmen. We still got to contend with their systems in place. So I guess my question to the panel is, what can Africans do as an alternative? Because for a country that had all that growth for the last 4 or 5 years to grow and not be anywhere. When I was in undergrad, I wrote a paper in college about how, you know, the concept of growth is a silly concept because growth can be likened to the human body. You think of corporation corpus. When you think about, if I give somebody, a child, McDonald's every day, that child would grow, but that's not healthy growth. As opposed to giving the child healthy food, the child will grow. So if your economy is not growing healthy and you're just growing unhealthy, you end up with an unhealthy economy, a la Ghana. Now I'm simplifying really, really, you know, tough economic concepts, but I'm just saying, what are the alternatives other than just saying that's the system, we just got to play ball?
Larry, did you want to say something, Larry?
Oh yes, thanks. I just wanted to say something quickly. I was just, apart from saying that it's immoral for any African country to try and get reparations for slavery, one could argue that they've already been receiving reparations since the 70s through foreign aid. I mean, they've been receiving hundreds of millions of pounds, dollars. They've been taking out loads of debt. So let's say in some perfect world, they got their reparation. They still have the loans that they still have to pay off. One from the IMF, which isn't going to go away. They're not going to initiate some amnesty and get rid of it. So they're still going to end up probably using the reparations money to pay off the IMF loan. And then what does that mean? When they get the IMF, when they get the reparations, do they then say, henceforth, we will no longer be receiving foreign aid? Or are they going to say that we want the reparations and keep giving us foreign aid at the same time? Because it doesn't make sense. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't get all this money for reparations, but you still want foreign aid year after year, and you've already received more than $1 billion in foreign aid, and you owe, I think they owe like 50-something billion pounds or $1 billion. Ghana already owes that much, 50-something billion dollars. So how much is the reparations going to be? They're going to have to use that reparations to pay off their debt, or a number of people on this panel have already mentioned, they are embedded in a system that was created to basically put them in debt by the British or the Americans. So it's just it's a game. You're like a hamster on one of those things. You're just running and running, but you're not going anywhere. So I like I said, like most people, I'm against them getting it. I don't think it's been planned properly. Plus, he's not coming from a position of strength. So what is he going to do? Is he going to emotionally blackmail the Europeans to give him his country money, reparations? He doesn't have the power to demand it, so it's pointless.
Yeah, so gas me up. I don't really know the alternative that you're asking for. I mean, most governments, they get money through taxes, they can sell different bonds and stuff like that. But the thing that you have to realize is that, I mean, a lot of countries are having inflation right now, including the United States. United States has the highest inflation that they've had in like the last 50 years, right? So there's a lot of these things are really caused by the supply chain issues that was caused by COVID-19. Most countries, if you look at it, there's countries all over the world that have higher inflation rates than 27%, which Ghana's at about 27%. You have Angola, you have Venezuela, you have some of these Asian countries, and it's not a situation that, they grew their economy, they're a fast growing economy, so they're going to be exempt from the causes of COVID-19. If you go in California right now, look on the coast of California, you can look at it on a map. There's a whole bunch of shipping containers, boats coming from different countries that are on the coast of California because of the supply chain issue, right? And so you have a whole lot of issues that's caused by COVID-19. Chip manufacturers in Taiwan and these other countries that are, having a shortage of supplies that's coming through in terms of manufacturing. You have countries not countries, but cities in China that are on lockdown. And so that's causing a lot of the supply chain issues because of COVID-19. So yeah, Nigeria is not that far behind Ghana, as far as inflation. I think that about
but that's what I'm saying.
9%.
Yeah, of course Nigeria is. I mean, look, the dollar just hit 730 naira. It just went down after the CBN governor threatened them and arrested some guys in Lagos and Abuja. But what I'm saying is, you just said exactly what I think is the problem. We're tangled in this web. So everything we consume comes from the West, right? We're importing from China. And my thing is, at least even on a philosophical level, right? I believe, it's just my opinion, I believe that we should be looking for alternative ways of consumption, alternative ways of growth that don't tie us in to the market, so that whenever there are any, externalities or any shocks to the system, your people can come out as best as possible, as opposed to saying, well, it's a global system, we just got to go along with it. Because when you talk to these leaders, this is how they sound. They sound crazy. They don't sound like men or women, right? Because I'm not going to make it seem like the women aren't, they're just as colonized as the men are. But we, especially from the African perspective, we're not sounding like leaders who are looking for alternatives for their people. So during 2019 and 2018, before COVID, the Ghanaian president. No, but wait, the Ghanaian president, if you were to ask him, he was all there telling the French president what he's going to do and no more taking all this other stuff. And he was all puffing his chest out, only to now come in cup in hand like Oliver Twist saying, please, sir, can I have some more? It's like, dude, like, y'all got to cut it out. You can't beat them at their game, in my opinion. But, I'll let you go.
It's not even the game part, though, right? So you talk about, I already mentioned earlier in the show, Ghana has already stated that they're not going to be exporting cocoa to Switzerland anymore. And so they're in the process of breaking a deal with Ivory Coast so that they can form a block, because they have the, they pretty much, those two together have the most cocoa exports in the world, right? And so they're actually forming a block with Ivory Coast so that they could keep the cocoa in those countries, so that they can manufacture and process the cocoa in those countries into the end product, whether it's chocolate bars, chocolate mix, or whatever. So, you know, these things are a process. You just can't snap your fingers and say you're going to decouple yourself from the global economy. If you look at Russia and China, that's something that they're trying to do. They're trying to create an alternative system, and these are way bigger economies than Ghana, or Ivory Coast, or Nigeria. If it takes these people, you know, China, who's probably the largest, if you know, second largest, if not the largest economy in the world, if it takes these people time to get off of that global system, you know, you could imagine how much time it may take a
Yeah,
smaller country like Ghana.
that's the problem. But that's the problem. Again, you're saying they want to sell the chocolates no longer to Sweden and to Switzerland. Here's the problem with global trade, and this is what no one says. Wait. Oh, the cocoa, right? That's chocolate's cocoa. But what I'm trying to say is this: what we have to contend with, and I've said this many times, if you take away Western capital, most African countries are broke, because they don't raise internal revenue. So even at the end of the day, you don't have a strong enough demand for that cocoa, the end product of that cocoa in Africa, which turns around indirectly. We still got to go back to the same people who enslaved us and took advantage of us for capital in order to engage in the system. So the cocoa in of itself is of no value unless a European consumes the end product. Much in the same way, Black communities in America are of no value until white people come in and gentrify it. As soon as you get a white body in there, that's why Black lives really don't matter. Because even if you look at insurance, the actuaries, I'm mispronouncing the word, that the people do the actuarial science for insurance, they'll tell you facts that the white lives are actually more valuable in terms of insurance than the Black lives. That's just what's happening. So we're seeing something that, in my opinion, we don't contend with. We're just playing along in that game. Why is it that until a white body shows up in a Black neighborhood, that's when the property values go up?
That's not true.
Until we export the end. Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
You said that. Let me just respond to this real quick. You said that Africans don't raise money internally. Africans do raise money internally. They raise money through taxes.
I didn't say they don't raise internally. I said it's not enough to contend with the system, so that, for example, the Ghanaians and the people in the Ivory Coast, Ghana has gold. People should be buying their gold directly in Africa from Ghana. But do you know, for example, and this is, you know, people talk about spooky, there's actually a ritual where the price of gold is set in London. It's not even set by the free markets. It's 5 white boys in London and banks who set the price of gold. It's not determined by the market. You get what I'm saying? So they tell us, you know, Europeans are good at do as I say, not as I do. They tell us all these things. Oh, free markets don't intervene. Yet, you know, if you go to the U.S., everybody has ethanol in their gasoline because they're subsidizing the farmers and the corn growers. I always mention Elon Musk. Go ahead, Brother Philip. Go ahead.
Wait, Deneb has been waiting. Go ahead, Deneb.
All right, I'm going to try to make this fast because I got a whole lot of things to add, but just
and listen to that. After you, we'll pass it to Sia Ghana. See, are you ready? Finally, you ready, Sia Ghana? You ready?
Yeah, let her do a thing. I'll come in.
Just 2 things. Now, I just want to say, I just want to say that, you know, with Ghana, I'm on Ghana's side. If I'm right, when Nkrumah became the president, that country, they inherited the infrastructure that the British left, if I'm not mistaken. So whatever they had from that time onto this time, they need to do what they got to do to keep their society going. And the thing about it is, and that's all they really shouldn't get anything else. I know they don't sound too nice, but they really shouldn't get anything else. And the reason is because the money does not belong to Africa. And I'm going to say it one more time. The money does not belong to Africa. The resources belong to Africa. Okay? And I do think that, to be honest with you, the globe really would deserve reparations. So as far as Africa is concerned, their reparations would be it wouldn't be money. It would be getting their artifacts back and certain things along those lines, which goes to what Gassim Up was saying, and I guess the Pan-African capitalist, whatever your name is, was saying, because Africa has a different system. You give Africa back their relics in those museums, and they can do their business. They can do what they do. You know what I'm saying? You keep them relics and locked up in those museums, and you keep on telling Ethiopia, well, we're not going to give you back the Ark of the Covenant, but you could borrow it from us. That's not right. Now I know that Africa is guilty. Guess what? We all guilty. And I don't think that they need money. I think they need to get their stuff back. That's Africa. What belongs to Africa is their resources, And I guess I just stopped there. I had something else that I wanted to say, but it was a question, and I forgot it anyway. So I'll just probably remember it later.
All right. I don't know. I mean, I hear a lot of people with a lot of anti-African sentiment, and I think the first thing we got to identify is why we even have these thoughts. You know what I mean? Why people have sit up here and have anti-African sentiment. I think one of the reasons we have that, I mean, the clear reason we have that is because of colonialism. You know what I mean? And it's a colonial mindset that makes you anti-African right from the beginning. I mean, when you speak out and you feel like old girl was just saying, like, we don't deserve to have, they don't deserve to have reparations or anything like that. That's because through colonialism, what they do is try to make you divided and separate from who you are, where you come from, what your culture is, what your religion is, what your beliefs are, what your mindset is. They needed to be they needed to be against where you come from. That's how colonialism works. You know what I mean? So first things, I hear that in people who are saying things, I hear that y'all saying that. I hear what y'all saying, and you know what I mean? That's what's coming out. And that ain't cool. You got to look at yourself and wonder why, you feel these ways, Bro, I see you shaking your head, you know what I mean? But that's real, you know what I'm saying? If you feel like, if you're looking at Africa and thinking, oh no, they just sold each other and we sold each other to Europeans, and that's not exactly like that. You know what I mean? Like, you got to look at the true history and walk your way through it and see if it worked that way. You know what I mean? We look at something like, when does the transatlantic slave trade begin? Matter of fact, look prior to that. When does the invasion of Africa begin? Like someone said earlier, speaking with Pope, I believe Pope Nicholas, you know what I mean, coming through and, you know what I mean, basically suggesting that people being enslaved or captured or whatever, you know what I mean, and brought back, taking whatever they got, you know what I mean, this and enslaving them or whatever, you know what I mean. We look at that, and we look at the times of that starts with Portugal coming in through Africa and through Soweto, you know what I mean, invaded in 1415. You look at right from the beginning of that, we know that that's not some friendly slave trade like you think. That's not Europeans walking into Africa and getting, some kind of slave market. It doesn't start like that. When you look at Portugal move down, when they get down to Gambia, and when they get down to deeper parts of the west coast of Africa, you don't see them friendly, exchanging really. You know what I mean? We may see them go into the Congo. We see them try to set up a colony with the Congo, try to set up just a connection through religion, Catholicism. And then you see right at that same time, I mean, they start with King Zhao II, but by the time we get to his son, King Alfonso, you already see him, writing his letters back into Portugal saying, hey, they're invading, they're taking, they're snatching our people up. They're decimating our society. They're snatching all kinds of people up. And you see right then from the very beginning that it's not cool. And they're ready to fight against it. They're against what's happening. You know what I mean? So to suggest Africans are just all for it, then how come? And this point I'm talking about is what, 1480s, you know what I mean? When King Alfonso was in, you know what I'm saying? When they're already objecting to what's happening, to the invasion. And when they're taking them, you can already see that it's not voluntary. It's not a free market of come to Africa and buy slaves. It's automatically from the beginning recognized it's wrong and we don't like it. We're fighting against it. And that same kingdom I'm talking about goes through. That's where you get to Queen Nzinga and all of that. That's that same, royal line out of Angola and Congo, you know what I mean? So we know that from the beginning, it doesn't start as some kind of market, like you say, like Africans just selling Africans, you know what I mean? And then right behind them comes Spain, and they don't come in as just some buyer either. They come behind Portugal and with Portugal, because them and Portugal become one empire. And as they're in, you know, right around the same time at the beginning of the slave trade, you know what I mean? They automatically come in as allies. So they're automatically setting up their forts. And, you know, you can see from the beginning that they're not just buying from some kingdoms like some people are suggesting, you know what I mean? Then when you go further down and you look and say who comes next, then England comes next, you know, but how do they get in the slave trade? We know how they get in the slave trade because it starts with their first person who grabs Africans. That would be John Hawkins. And John Hawkins, cousin of or nephew of Sir Francis Drake. John Hawkins would get in, but how's he get in? He gets in by attacking Portuguese and Spanish slave ships. He attacks them and he captures them. You know what I mean? He didn't go to Africa and buy slaves and just on some market that everyone's talking about. He had to capture them from the Portuguese, and that's how England got in. They got in not by going in and buying from Africans. They got in from capturing from the Portuguese, who had a market. And then when they were able to defeat the Portuguese, they were able to take their forts that are on the coast of Africa and allow them to start to set up, you know, once you had the forts, you had the power. You're sitting there with a fort that these people can't conquer. You got giant cannons, you know what I mean? You have ships that can come in from the coast. So you got a lot of power on there, you know what I mean? Already set up when you come in, you know? And then, you know, so even down the line, when you talk about the Dutch getting in, the Dutch are just a colony of the Portuguese. So them getting in the trade is through the Portuguese, not through some friendly ally in Africa that they met that was selling slaves. They came in behind a force that the Portuguese had already set up, you know, as I said, from the beginning, you know, and as you go, as you see the line, you see that it's not that friendly trade that everyone's thinking. This is like if you look at a drug block, you know what I mean? If you see someone come in with a crew, once they set up and get their force and their power in effect, they able to have everybody in the neighborhood work for them. But it's not like everybody in the neighborhood really just want to do it, but you under the force or the power that's already in effect, you know? Or another analogy would be a person coming into a bank with a gun. Once the force and power is in effect and they got the guns out, everybody moving accordingly. And it looked like, hey, you participating in what's going on. Yeah, because the power's in effect. When they had the forces, the forts up, and they're set up all on the coast like they got it, they can dictate for one who is you know, gonna be their allies and who's gonna be their enemies. You know what I mean? They can dictate who that is. They can deal with people that, you know, have their societies. Of course, we've already had African societies, and yes, different societies. Yeah, you have beef. That's common sense anywhere in the world. That's not some character trait that's weird with Black people in Africa. That's just a common trait anywhere in the world. People have different views and different, you know, ways of living and everything. They're friends, they're allies, they have beefs. You know, for people keep saying they took each other as slaves. That's it's silly to say it like that. You're trying to trivialize what's going on. Because if you went to war with someone, what do you commit total genocide and kill all of them? Of course not. That would, you know what I mean? That would be sick. So people, obviously, you take them captive, you work them back into society. They take that as meaning slavery. That's not the same thing as chattel slavery. It's totally different. To compare it as the same is crazy, but they do. People do, as if that's equal. You know what I mean? It's not. It's, you know what I mean? And even if someone did, they sold them, that's the same thing, or whatever you do, like as if someone was to buy a puppy, that means that whoever sold them is just as guilty as the person who beat that puppy to death or something. Like, no, that's not even the same. To compare them and say, yeah, they're equal levels. Africans sold to Europeans, so yeah, they're just as culpable. No, that's not how it is. That's not how it should be looked at, you know? As I said, when they're in there and they have that force and that power, they can determine which ethnicity is going to have power, which ethnicity is going to be submissive to that power or feel the effects of the force. What do? You know what I mean? What do people do? They're going to act accordingly, you know? And once those systems are in effect, people are born into it, you know? we may one day look back and say, man, in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, they really was locking black people up. And we may know of black people who's in our family or friends or whatever that may be police or probation officers or somewhere work within the system. And it could look back in history as they work within the system that locked black people up. But was that their real intent? Is that really what they doing? Or did they just have a job? They trying to feed their family and live. And they just participated in a system that exists. The system says to capture these people, lock them up because they did a crime. Be the same thing in Africa. Go back 500, 400, 300 years. You doing the same thing. They got a system in effect. People's born into it. Hey, capture these ones. These are the bad guys. They're from these people. They're from this group. They're terrorists. They're bad guys. They're criminals. Capture them. We're going to ship them out of here. Way far away because that's how bad they are. People born into the system, yeah, okay, great. And you're going to pay me for it? Yeah, I go capture them, arrest them like they arrest people in the 80s. Not to be seeing, like we seeing mass arrest, mass incarceration of black people. Historically, we'll look back and say, yes, that's horrible. But there are a lot of people participating in it. A lot of good black people thinking they're doing the right thing. Think in slavery, you have to think of the same thing. Those kind of events are happening. Those kind of situations are happening. People born into situations where it's, yes, that's a so-and-so tribe. They're a bad tribe, always trying to attack us. We got to capture them and get them out of here. And we'll get paid to do it.
All right, bro. Let's pass it to go ahead, Sir Will. Let me just Sir Will.
All right. Hey, Dynast. Always a pleasure.
What's up, Will?
All right. So I got three things. I'm gonna go real quick. So first of all, Gastemap said something really, really important. He was talking about creating some type of consumers in Africa, within Africa, for whatever we're selling. Because, for example, take cocoa, for example. We don't eat that much chocolate in Africa. So if you could create some type of market for some of those resources, that'd be a good starter right there in order to control the prices. Second, I think Philip said something that is like really, really, really interesting. But and that would be my question to you, Philip, is that do we need the head of state to bring that kind of lawsuit in America? Because some of those head of states are the problem in Africa, because some of them are what Gastemap call the elite, the sellout. So we call them the house negroes in America. Those people are the main issue. The big population of Africa, we all want to go forward with those things, but we've been stopped by those head of state who are like the issue. If you remember in Haiti, Jean Bertrand Aristide, for example, was trying to go for reparation, and the French took him out.
Oh no! Please don't mention that devil. He's not a good person.
Not a good person.
Please don't mention.
I know he might not be a good person, but that was more the issue that France had with Bertrand Aristide. Okay, all right. The very last issue is that we all need to be careful with this slavery narrative, because what is we learned that in the history books or whatever that some Africans sold other Africans to the white men. But who wrote those history books? Do you guys really think that a kingdom in Africa that values something as like gold will be impressed by somebody coming to them with mirror and then exchanging, let's say, a mirror with a slave? So we need to go back into those history books and fix them, because we didn't write them. The white men wrote those books. So,
that's right.
So who to say that this is really what happened? Mind you, I did some of my research back in the days, right after slavery ended in the United States, right? There were some slave ships that were actually attacked off the coast of Africa. Why would they be attacked off the coast of Africa if there was some type of trade going on? So we need to be real careful about taking that narrative as something out of the Bible. The people who are killing us today are the ones who actually wrote those books. So we have to be careful with that. So we might have to do our own research, go to our own historian or whatever. But there's something wrong with that entire story, and we should not take that We should not walk around and say that, okay, they're soldiers. I think at the end of the day, we all need to come together. And that's what's good about platform like this, is that it's bringing all of us together. At least the people who think that we should move forward together. The Uncle Tom or the sellouts, they're not gonna come into this. Actually, they are the enemies, more so than white people, because they're trying to bring us down. Me, my number one fight is against those people. Then, the other people, but you know what I mean. So anyway, that's all I had to say. I'm gonna get back into the chat. Appreciate it, guys.
Yo, can I just say I want to?
Can I address my brother quickly?
Yeah, go ahead, Roosevelt. Then we'll pass it to Deneb. Go ahead, Roosevelt, and pass it to Deneb.
Hey, Brother Ghana, I want you to be clear that there's no despising of my people here, and I wanted to be clear that I'm not even coming from the slavery narrative, because all of us did not come from these regions. See, we're the indigenous people of the world. We are the indigenous footprint of the world.
Of course.
And as soon as we, get on with understanding that, then we'll be able to make a lot of decisions that don't even include the legal system, the political system, and the social system that we have been imprisoned in. I put on this shirt because since I've been here, my desire has been to find among my cousins here what I could not find with my brothers and cousins in America. And that is a mind that knows and understands that today you're free. That's why I said at my first initial statement on this panel, the way you figure out what should be done, what people are owed, or anything that addresses our people is look at what's happening today. I've seen some of the comments on here, how immediately people are going at one another. And that's not what Brother Dynast's broadcast is about. It's about your opinion on whether or not Africa and the diaspora equally deserve reparations. I believe Africa is owed something, but I believe Africa's ability to get what they are owed is more in their hands than they realize. Our ability to get what we are owed it's in our grasp, but it's more for us an internal, a moral, and a spiritual obligation that we have to truth and to one another. And if we are properly educated in that, we will move the force that has this system that is a minority and is the weakest body of people on the planet. We will move that. And the proof in what I'm saying is this. There is not, I don't think, a European representing themselves in that list of comments. It might be a few because you got ghost pages on YouTube. But the first thing that most of us stated was not whether or not they do deserve it or they don't deserve it. There was a lot of inward, internal antagonism going at one another.
But that's natural. But yeah.
And I'll have to.
That's not natural.
That
is learned behavior.
Okay, stand down, sister. No, just a second, Syed. Just a second. How long have you been in Ghana?
I'm not in Ghana.
You sound Ghanaian. That's why I asked.
Yep, no.
I've been here for a little less than a year. And the reason why I left America, it wasn't so much that Nana invited us over, because I really didn't spiritually feel that. But I left America because after 6 years of being in court in America, without an attorney, doing my own writing and relating to judges, I recognize clearly that in America, we are in a contract against ourselves that we will never get out of unless we leave it or unless we die. They're trying to push it. Obama signed it, but they have here, if I start my business, and I start my business in Ghana, I have to send money to the IRS. Even if I don't make a penny in America, I got a business in America, but I have to do some little obeisance to them. And I don't want to get into what the IRS is and all that, but I'm just saying, without hating Nana, because he's my elder, and I cannot hate my elder, and I honor my elders. I honor him beyond this president position. If we do not find a way to remember African laws, which is everything that's written in that Bible, everything that's written in that Apocrypha, everything that is on the law books of every court, and everything that is written in every mystic writing or any religious mindset you want to think of, if we do not find a way to return to what many of us call African spirituality, they can give us all the money in the world. You will find them in your backyard raping you and you're behind. Because that's who you're dealing with here.
Exactly.
You're dealing with someone that has us discussing whether or not he's going to give us something, whether or not one of us has more right to it than the other.
Right.
And if he's watching, which he does, but he's not here. And here's my contribution to this. And I appreciate this, Prince. Here's my contribution to it. The power to repair ourselves and prosper ourselves is sitting here. And the reason why the diaspora is so important, because I don't care what you say, who sold us, who didn't sell us, that doesn't even bother me, because you're right. I grew up in Watts. We fought each other all the time. Then we go and try to get the same girl and all that stuff. This is family. And the whole world has been in our family business. So I'm with you there. But until we find a way to recognize that the diaspora is important, because they are the only people who don't have a land. And you're going to have to do something with us. You are going to have to determine that you know more than you say you know. Because the cry heard around the world, the men who keep getting picked off like flies, and I might add, that's the end of that era for us. The cry for freedom and kingly rule in the earth comes from those children that got kidnapped. Go down the line and name them. Malcolm X connects to Stephen Biko. Martin Luther King connects to Kwame Nkrumah. So that's the spell of this African stuff and this African diaspora stuff. Damn it, this is family. And nobody's going to set the narrative for me about what I need, what I'm owed, and who I am and what I have a right to. Now, I'm with Pan-African. We don't just barge in and, try to change stuff, but we better remove ourselves from this mentality. It takes time and a process for these things to come about. No, it doesn't. Every process, every recession, and even some of the damn earthquakes is because someone is controlling it. Money doesn't inflate itself and it doesn't disappear. Money is an inanimate object, and the money in the earth is me. And as soon as our people get that in their heads, we'll change everything in the earth. That's the skinny. You got to be willing to stand. Let's just make sense. And I'm gonna go with Larry, and I'm gonna go with what Prince said. Come on, let's do the math. We have to dig up people who fought for us, and I'm sure they did. There were insurrections and rebellions on the plantations, and there were some at the shores that did not want to go. I know that. But here's the issue. We have been tricked collectively around the four corners of the earth into thinking that someone can give us our freedom and give us our provisions and set laws for us. I sat flat-footed and argued with a judge. I got a 37-year-old daughter who argued with a judge, didn't know nothing about the law until we started reading, until we talked to a black attorney that quit the law.
Hey, let's do this, brother. Let's pass the mic. Larry, you have anything you want to say, brother?
You got it, Prince. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Roosevelt. Thanks, Prince.
Thank you.
The only thing I was going to say is, there's so many things to look at. The culpability of Ghana, we're talking about Ghana, how they were involved. I think it was 2006, they had that year of return thing, or Project Joseph, where they publicly apologized to Black Americans for their involvement in the slave trade. So
Ghana
they did that
during the slave trade.
Yeah, that did that back in 2006. So my thing is this, it's very simple. You can get all the reparations, Ghana can try and get all the reparations it thinks it wants, but it still has a big major problem economically. What are you going to do about the billions that you owe? Is the reparations going to be used to pay that off? You're working in a system that's geared against you. So even if you get that money, they're going to find a way to get that money back. You are tied into so many things, so many traps they've set up for you. You've been taking out loans, you've been getting foreign aid. That stuff isn't going to disappear. We're talking billions. So how much reparations do you want for Ghana? How much did he actually say? Did Nana say how much reparations? Is it going to be exempt from being used at all? I don't get it. So.
I wouldn't take him seriously on that, but that's just me. That's just me. The only thing I can really say or do is put myself in somebody else's shoes, or my psychology in somebody else's. If I was the president of Ghana, I don't know, maybe I would react the same way he did. And the thing that I don't remember if it was Obama administration, Trump administration.
Yeah, I lost you, Deneb. Go ahead.
Okay. If I was going to say, I don't know if it was the Obama administration, the Trump administration, or before Obama. Whoever, I think it was, I don't know, where they made a deal with the military, the U.S. military, to protect the coast of Ghana or something. It was recent or whatever. I don't know, when these leaders or what have you, when they get in relationships with these powerful, financially powerful countries or whatever, there is a effect that takes place for the future, for a long time to come. And so if you notice, after that happened, I don't know, I think it was a Trump administration. If you notice, after that,
no, I think that was under Obama, where they were talking about building a military base there. I think that was
terrible.
Obama.
That was Obama. But then if it was Obama, then they doubled down during the Trump administration. So what I'm saying is, if you really think about it, whatever the political theater that the president of Ghana has been doing for like the past 4 years, it's just political theater. Let him do his thing. What in the world does the president, and it makes people upset. The Ghanaian people don't even like it. What does Ghana have to do with France? In my mind, they don't really have anything to do with each other. But being somebody that probably was educated, who was an elite, he's used to, living that life, and it is what it is. But when it comes to everything else, those things don't matter. And if a relationship is made, it's not even going to last anyway. It really doesn't matter. The things that matter are the things that the brother Roosevelt was talking about, And I want to ask something. I've never been to Africa. When I got my little $2,000 to go travel someplace, I went to Tamil Nadu, India, and I stayed there for 4 months. And the only reason why I got there is because when I purchased my first ticket to go to Ghana, I never got enough money, and I had my visa and my round trip ticket, but I didn't have anything else. I didn't have no more money. So I had to not go. That was $1,000 loss. My visa expires in 2026. You know what I mean? So I said, you know what? Let me try again. And I'm going to go to India. And I don't regret it. I'm going to say it again. I do not regret it. Because because like I said before, reparations, it would be the world would deserve it. And it's really not about this money, because the money is printed by the West. And not only that, but the currencies got their ancestors' name on it. So why would you really want that as reparations? You want your relics back that's in the Vatican. You want your relics back that's in those European museums. That's really what you want. They can't necessarily have us back let's just be honest here. They gave us up. Africa gave us up. For various different reasons, they gave us up. So guess what? Now we're scattered. So what do we have to do? We have to do what the brother Roosevelt said. We got to replant and readjust and recreate new economies for ourselves. And that's just our existence. And if you even study how I do a lot of watching, I do nothing but watch YouTube videos all day long. The way they are trying to regrow the Sahara Desert. They're trying to regrow the Sahara Desert. I mean, it's unfortunate what happened to the Libyan hydraulic system, but it happened. That's what happens when you think the Europeans, feel guilty about what they did. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with Asia. If you look at what the people in Thailand are doing, this is what and Americans, black people, I'm kind of tired of seeing all the white women and the white people, they got their homesteads. And I am not a hater. The Appalachian homesteaders, and they're all white people. So where the black people at? With your ranches, I mean, seriously, where they at? Seriously, where they at? Get it together. Seriously. And I'm just going to say one last thing, because now I remember the question I was going to ask. It's a question. I'm very curious as to what the people on the panel think about this, especially Brother Phillips, since he's the only person I know up on here that's into law. What do y'all think about the people like the famous people, like the Kim Kardashians, that have begun to kind of like legally represent some of our people in the justice system? And I mean, it's interesting that she decided to be a lawyer, even though that her father was a lawyer. But the fact that what I just brought up, Kanye West, he, got all this money, but he bought a ranch in some place in West Coast. When these famous people, they might be privileged. It is what it is. But when these famous people do things like this, we kind of should try to minimize our criticisms of these black men and the black women, and observe what they're doing and try to see how, how it's affecting our world that we live in. Because he's got a ranch, but the rest of us don't have one. And the reason why is because we stifle our children. We're not educated. We got a lot of issues. And I'm so curious to find out what people think about people like her, this young woman who followed in the footsteps of her deceased father and became an attorney and is representing Black women and getting a small little bit of people out of prison for nonviolent crimes. I'm just curious as to what people think about what she's done. She got apps out there. I don't judge folks. If you're gonna judge somebody, then you're gonna have to judge Ray J also for making her famous once again. You feel what I mean? So I'm really curious as to what people think, because I so understand that we have such a shortage of legal representation. It's ridiculous. I don't like that Benjamin Crump. That's not my cup of tea. But and that shows you right there how we just don't have no legal representation. We don't have it. Or economics. So I'm done. I'm gonna mute my mic.
Okay, and then guys, we'll go ahead and go ahead, Philip. Go ahead and close this out, Philip. Go ahead and say what you have to say. Then we're gonna close out.
I had a couple of points, and I'll try to address Deneb's last point first. What do I think about Kim Kardashian representing Black incarcerated people or people like that? Well, if she's helping get them out of jail and they shouldn't be there, then that's a good thing. Now, should there be more representation by attorneys and Black attorneys specifically to help our people that are in jail? Absolutely. But we got to be real about something, which is there are very few Black attorneys that graduate out of these classes. When I went to school, and I didn't take a formal survey, but more or less every law class, there are about 5 Black men, maybe 7, and there may be 9 to 11 Black women out of each class. And then, you multiply that nationwide. So you're not taught. Let me put it to you this way. At whatever law school you went to, most of the Black people that went there. That's how small it is, because there aren't that many. If you say, hey, do you know Ed blah, blah, blah? If he's under the age of 70, you probably know that guy because you met him in the Black alumni stuff or whatever it is. There are just not a lot of us. So that's part of the problem, is the multiple of 1 in 3 Black men under the age of 30 are somewhere in the judicial system with some form of felony arrest, to how many Black attorneys there are. We need all the help we can get. Now, ideally, I would favor, Angela Davis has been saying, hey, why don't we try to imagine a world where we don't need prison, meaning that Black people try to reorient themselves in terms of what they're doing to not go to jail, but that's a bigger thing of how to do that. So that was a long answer. My answer is anybody that can help, that has a law degree, to help unjustly convicted Black people or people of any group should do so if they have the time and the means to do so. I support that. It would be better if it's us, but we're fighting against an ocean right there, and any Black attorney will tell you that. Let me just go through a couple of things. One thing I wanted to talk about, which Abube was on just recently, Giants. I was kind of sad that it only went like 15 minutes or 30 minutes. He's always talking about currency, and we got to really get focused on trying to get 5 hard regional currencies coming out of Africa from the various regions that are backed by minerals and gold and some form of fiat to get it on phone. So Black people, Africans there can do transactions over the phone, and we can pay each other to circulate our money, right? And if we could do that internationally even better, with the diaspora buying things and finished goods that are coming out of there. So from that, then it's something that Gassim was talking about both on the live chat and then the private chat, which was the SWIFT system. Part of the reason why we've got a big problem is that the European institutions transfer the money amongst themselves through their own network of banks. And if they decide you're out, like they just recently decided Russia is out, then how do you transfer money in between banks? This is a big problem that Africa has to look at. And on that, then let me jump to what Illyri was talking about, which is the debt. And I mean, he's 100% right. How do you, even if you get reparations, what do you do about the debt? Well, one of the things is there has been some argument about debt forgiveness when dictators or people that were not put in office properly and were appointed by European powers indebted their countries. So you can look at a potential with Ghana to say, well, did we really put this person there that accrued all this debt? Or did England or whoever it is? And you can argue about what the numbers are. Just on that note, because Dynas is putting his movie up, and everybody, we should support Brother Dynas. He's only asking really $11 for the movie. Please support his film. We please support his film. What I was going to say is there's some stuff that we can do right now today that would make a huge difference. One is if some of our Black Hollywood people merge with some of our studios in Nollywood and in South Africa and Ghana and where they're making movies, so Brother Dynas and other brothers like him can circulate films amongst us. That's something we can do right now today, of distributing our own products. So let's get it going. We can start with buying Dynas's film, but it would make a huge difference if we had our Black entertainment elite merging with some of these Black African studios. They have animation studios. They have all kinds of stuff where we can make our own media instead of letting white media define us. So that would be great. Another one, I just want to throw it out there, Dynas, along that same line, is this Tryon car. If you don't know about the Tryon car, Master P was working with this guy. There's a Black car engineer that did the first couple of Teslas, and now he has his own supercar. And that car should be built in Africa. It should be built in Nigeria or Ghana or Kenya or all of those places. There should be a supply chain with that. You've got Black minds making brilliant products. Just look it up. Google it, the Tryon car, Trion. Every rapper, every entertainment person, if you're buying a Lamborghini, Jesus Christ, can you please look at the Tryon car? Maybe you could buy that. That's an African car, Gosh. Final thing, Gassim was talking about, why are we always the negative marker in markets and real estate and banking and neighborhoods? And well, there are a couple of things. One thing is the zoning maps, the red line maps from the 20s and 30s, where it redlined all the Black communities. And then those were the maps used by mortgage brokers and banks to say which communities were the best investments and which were the worst. And surprise, surprise, Black communities consistently were the worst investments. So how do you overcome that? Well, you got to get circulating dollars. You got to get, we have a community out here in California, Alhambra. Alhambra has every province of China represented in people from China that bought and drove up the price of property. Now imagine if we had a similar thing of people coming from Ghana, people coming from Nigeria and building up Crenshaw or Baldwin Hills or you name it, Ladera Heights, Black communities, Inglewood in Chicago. But we don't have that. Why don't we have it? Because we don't circulate money, because we haven't focused on it. And that's the final thing I want to say. I'm going to sign off, which is, look, all of us, Dynas was an athlete. I was an athlete. I'm looking at these two other guys, Roosevelt and Saya Gan. I bet you these dudes were athletes too. And the whole thing was, we're trying to win. We need to get a code of conduct among Africans everywhere to say, we're trying to win now. We're not trying to show or to make a good showing. We're trying to win. How do we win? How do we get the economics in a place that we're proud of? How do we get our people in a place that we're proud of? Well, the first thing is you got to say, I want to win. You don't win anything if you're not trying. And in doing that, you also have to be of the frame that I could lose. You can't win if you don't risk losing. So that's another thing. Dynas, I know I said a lot, brother. I'm glad you had this topic. The panel, thank you for tolerating my comments. And I'm really hopeful. I'm more hopeful now than I've ever been that we're on the right frame, because we're at least talking about it and trying to get it done. So thank you guys, and good luck.
Yep. Yes, sir. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining. And once again, if you have not bought the documentary yet, please go to documentary.searchforuhuru.com or go to searchforuhuru.com and buy the documentary. Guys, it's streamed. So it's not a, someone was asking, is it on DVD? No, it's streamed. It's like Netflix. So once you buy it, you create a login and you're able to view it on any device forever when you just log in. And it's $10.99, guys. Go and buy the documentary. I hear people like, yeah, I got you, Dynas. I got you. Nah, go buy the documentary.
Dynas. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you a question about the documentary. I actually tried to buy it with the crypto wallet or whatever, buy it in Bitcoin.
Okay.
And it didn't, I'm gonna tell you what it did actually. It didn't let me pay for it, but it let me download it. So what should I, because I really don't have money. I have some Bitcoin and sitting in a wallet.
Okay, so do you owe me some Bitcoin? Are you saying you owe me some Bitcoin?
Yes, I would love to give you $11 in Bitcoin. What should I do?
Okay,
or
so what I'm gonna do?
or whatever.
Let me do this right now. Let me Okay, I'm glad you told me that. So let me do this. Hold on one second. Let me do this right now. Yeah, that's odd. I'm glad you told me that, so I can let my guy know. So one more time, one more time, it did what?
It gave me the ability to attempt to download it. I never watched it because the download never successfully downloaded. But I instead of choosing to pay with a Visa card, I chose the crypto thing. And then it said, okay, you ordered it or you bought it, or it said I bought it. It said now you're able to download it. And so I tried to download it and it didn't work. But I'm just telling you that, I'm one of the people that actually tried to use the crypto to purchase it. And I never paid for it. I never used it didn't have a space to put your wallet address in.
Hold on. Let's walk through this real quick. Hold on one second. We're gonna walk through this right now. Okay, so here we go. Buy for $10.99. Check out. Let's see here. Let's put what do you say? Here we go. Dynas, Amir, United States. What do you say? Los Angeles. Phone number. You say 323-567-8, whatever. All right, email address. What do you say? dynastymir@gmail.com. Okay. What do you say? Password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Here we're gonna play Bitcoin. Okay, y'all gonna make all this all over again. Okay, no problem. All right. Dynast, Amir, town, Los Angeles. Yeah, 3233. You know, there's some threes. Street address. Gmail.com. And then let's see here. Password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's see here. Bitcoin place order.
It says sorry. Okay.
Okay, no, that's weird.
Well,
Okay, I'll take care of it. On my crypto folks, I'll take care of it. I didn't know that was going on. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay. All right, guys.
Well,
go ahead.
Thank you, Dynast. Thank you. I enjoyed the conversation, and you know, I just want to personally thank you or whatever, and thank the panelists, thank the viewers too. You know, and I don't know. I just want to say thanks. That's it.
Thank y'all, all y'all.
Because my YouTube
I'm look y'all
channel
both up.
wasn't successful, but
No. What's your YouTube channel?
I have a lot of them. I don't really do YouTube anymore. I just do Instagram lives. I gotta redo my brand and do something else. So when I get myself together, maybe I can honestly do what I said. Maybe I can do a homestead type of, something like that, on a prepping type of idea. But right now, I'm not really. I don't have I can't go live. I don't have 1,000 subscribers. So.
Okay. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. We will fix the issue with the crypto payment, but the debit cards, the credit cards are working just fine. For the documentary. And until next time, family, Dynast Amir, search for Huru. Peace.
Peace.